Sir has joined.
Good morning, sir. We are live on YouTube now.
Preeti ma'am,
Ji, ma'am.
V. Sudesh sir has joined in our meeting.
Yes. Good morning, sir.
Sir, good morning. We welcome you.
We are live on
Namaste.
YouTube now. Yes.
Ji.
Namaste, sir.
Preeti ma'am,
Ji, ma'am.
V. Sudesh sir has joined in our meeting.
Yes. Good morning.
Sir, good morning. We welcome you.
We are live on YouTube. Namaste, sir. Ji, ma'am.
Chirsagar sir, welcome. Very good morning.
मैडम गुड मॉर्निंग मैडम आवाज आ रहा है ना मैडम
Yes, sir, you are audible. Anand Kalse sir, good morning. Namaste. We welcome you, sir.
Namaste, sir. We welcome you. Good morning.
Anand Kalse sir, good morning. Namaste. We welcome you, sir.
Namaste, sir. We welcome you. Vichita ma'am, in maybe 2-3 minutes we can start.
Yes, ma'am.
Vichita ma'am, in maybe 2-3 minutes we can start.
Yes, ma'am. Anand Kalse sir, good morning. Namaste. We welcome you, sir.
लेकर आए हैं ये खेल छोटे को बसाने के लिए लेकर आए हैं ये खेल छोटे को बसाने के लिए लेकर आए हैं
Ma'am, with your permission, can we just start with the program? It is 11 o'clock and I think our guests are also in.
Okay, ma'am. So shall we start?
Yes, I think we should. This is time.
A very good morning to one and all, respected guests, and all the audience, respected participants. I myself, Dr. Vijeta Singh, being a coordinator, I heartily welcome you all to this August gathering. Before moving further, I want to quote something. Till now in India, no lady become the chief pujari. Till now in India, no lady become Maulana of any masjid. No lady become chief priest of any church. No lady become world famous Dharma Guru. But a lady become a speaker of parliament. A lady became president of India. A lady became a prime minister of India, governor, foreign minister, and what not. And it is possible because of the greatest contribution of the greatest man on whose memory today we have organized this August gathering. I attribute my all sincere gratitudes and thanks to that great personality, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, because of whose contribution we all ladies are having equal opportunity. And today we are on same platform, and all three ladies coordinators of these programs are both in giving our gratitudes towards great legendary of law, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. So without wasting much of time, I would request Dr. Sharmila Guge Madam to brief out about the program and start the program. Madam, over to you. Madam, please unmute yourself.
I think the host had muted. Very good morning to one and all. Thank you, Dr. Vijeta.
Just one request. Dr. Vijeta ma'am, your voice is echoing. Maybe you are logged in from two devices.
Yes.
Yes, madam. Please.
Please remove one device. No, remove one device. We are getting the echo.
Very good morning to one and all. Thank you, Dr. Vijeta.
ಏನಮ್ಮ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಯಾ ಆಯ್ತಾಯ್ತು ಆಯ್ತಾಯ್ತು
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody's mic is unmuted. Done?
Yes, done. I have.
All right. All right. Once again, a very warm good morning to all of you. It indeed is a great pleasure to give the inaugural address for such a theme which comes as the 130th birth anniversary of the great legendary Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. It is just not merely to say these things in words, friends, but it really means a lot. We feel proud and privileged to be the citizens of this nation, not because we are Indians, but because we are citizens of the country where legendaries like Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar have been born, lived, and have laid down a strong foundation for people like us to walk on his footsteps. With this, friends, we move towards the topic for the national webinar. I heartily welcome each one of you for this national webinar on the relevance of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's thoughts in the 21st century. The said webinar has been jointly organized by Shri Vile Parle Kelwani Mandal's Jitendra Chauhan College of Law, the Grand Academic Portal India, and SS Maniyar Law College, Jalgaon, Maharashtra. Well, as it's a tradition, before we begin with any program in India, wherever a program is, we normally start off by lighting of the lamp, isn't it? And today too, we are going to do the same. We cannot have any auspicious beginning without lightning of the lamp. But yes, friends, today the lightning of the lamp is in a very, very renewed, novel manner. And I assure you, this novel manner will certainly grab your attention. Let's light the lamp. We do not have a lamp. We do not have candles. We do not have wigs. We do not have oil. We do not have a matchbox. But yet, we are going to light the lamp. Correct. All my great friends listening to me, please note, today's lighting of the lamp is a very unique one. I call upon all the participants, the great academicians, the dignitaries who are here to speak. Let us light the lamp of our thoughts. Let us brighten the wig, not merely by a matchstick, but igniting our minds. Let us light the lamp of thoughts by the great teachings of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Let us keep up the fire burning and the ignition within us to live up to the values of equality, liberty, freedom, dignity, and fraternity, which the great personality has deeply enshrined not only in the Indian Constitution, but it is within our hearts. It is within the air which prevails in this country. So let us light not only the lamp of our thoughts, but also the light of our conduct, also the light of our behavior. Let us take up an oath today that we shall not merely burn a matchstick and lit a candle, but we will always keep up our thoughts lit up to the expectations of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. With this, I proceed towards the inaugural. Friends, with lightening of our minds, I'm sure the great persons listening to me will ignite their minds with these thoughts, and we proceed. Today, we are blessed to have great speakers amongst us. The first and the foremost, we are privileged to have Dr. Anant Kalse, former Principal Secretary, Maharashtra Legislature. And Sir is going to talk upon a topic of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar as the architect of Indian Constitution. Then we have also a privilege to say that we are blessed to have amongst us Dr. V. Sudesh Sir to talk upon who has been a chairman and principal for Law College of Bangalore. And Sir is going to talk on Dr. Ambedkar's thoughts on challenges on parliamentary democracy. Thereafter, we are equally honored to have with us Dr. Deepak Shirsagar Sir, and Sir is the senior faculty at SS Maniyar Law College. Sir is going to talk on impact of Western socio-political thought on Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar and development of constitutional philosophy. Therefore, friends, as a person to just open up the conference, I am not going to touch upon any of these topics because we are blessed to have immense resource persons with us. After the inaugural, we will call upon the principals of both the law colleges, Dr. Priya Shah and Honorable Dr. Reddy Sir. Then we have Preeti ma'am also from the Grant Academic Portal to enlighten us about the activities of Grant. Once I am done, I shall hand over the proceedings to Dr. Vijeta Singh, who will carry forward the entire proceedings of the conference. And the conference will be finally given a vote of thanks by Dr. Sai Madhvi ma'am, who is the president of GAP, and also Dr. Vijeta Singh, who is a dynamic faculty from SS Maniyar Law College, Jalgaon. So this is how the program will go, friends. But what is something that I want to discuss with you today, just in a quick span of time? Because we have eminent speakers, so I'm not going to encroach upon their time. But yes, I certainly want to say a few words. And of course, the few words are about a great personality where a dictionary will fall short for describing how Dr. Ambedkar has been, how Dr. Ambedkar has contributed towards the society, and what are the benefits that we are reaping of what he has sowed 70 to 80 years back for this nation. Indeed, friends, I am talking about one and only Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, who not only is known as the pioneer of social justice, but please note, Dr. Ambedkar was profoundly appreciated as a qualified and a very, very eminent political leader. He was also applauded for being a stalwart economist. He was also known for being an incomparable anthropologist. He was a deep historian, a voracious orator, a deep thinker, a philosopher, a writer, and on top, a painter. And at the tip of the iceberg, the best quality Dr. Ambedkar possessed was a magnificent human being. Nothing can describe Dr. Ambedkar in words. If we really want to know what Dr. Ambedkar was, we just need to understand few things by one simple quote. Dr. Ambedkar has said, cultivation of mind should be the ultimate goal of human existence. I repeat, cultivation of mind should be the ultimate goal of human existence. Look at us today. We feel we have Google at fingertips and we are so informed citizens. Information is all we academicians have, but we fail to cultivate. We need to cultivate our information to understand what Dr. Ambedkar's teachings are and how great this person, not only to describe in words, but to feel and to believe and to follow. We need not only praise Dr. Ambedkar, but we need to practice his teachings. This gentleman was born on 14th of April, 1891 in Mao, Madhya Pradesh, India. Having faced tremendous oppression at that time, social discrimination and incalculable difficulties in his life, he carried forward his school education. After completing his school education with great difficulties, he was the first one from his community to step in Elphinstone College, Mumbai. Despite all the difficulties, nothing stopped Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Bhim Rao Ambedkar, fondly known as Baba Saheb Ambedkar. With great respect, I feel proud to convey that Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar was bestowed upon a graduation degree from Mumbai University in 1912. He took his footsteps ahead to never turn back in life, proceeded to US for further studies, then to UK and several other degrees. Friends, one more thing which I would like to point out. All of us may have 1 or 2 postgraduate degrees or 1 or 2 doctorates. And we feel so proud of ourselves. Oh, we possess a doctorate. How many of us are really aware Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar held 64 postgraduate degrees? Yes, you heard me right. 64 postgraduate degrees, not a child's play. I'm going to just enlighten you all on few facts which are never so spoken about. What we normally speak about Dr. Ambedkar is he is the architect of Indian Constitution. He is the pioneer of social justice. Some facts which are so astonishing that we really feel proud to say that we belong to the land of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Friends, he was the only person who had a library of more than 50,000 books across the globe. A personal library of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. No British had a library of 50,000 books to his credit. And you will be further surprised to know, in 1936, Governor Lithgow, 1936, friends, was the year when we were ruled by the British, was the year when we were under the slavery, was the year when we as Indians had no respect. But Governor Lithgow in 1936 very proudly said Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar has the intellect which is equivalent to 500 graduates. What does that mean? Such a wonderful compliment, such a huge compliment coming from a British. Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar is the only Indian whose statue stands proudly next to Karl Marx in the London Museum. We may have many film star statues in Madame Tussauds in London, but in the London Museum, it is only one and one Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar also has many credits given, many titles to his credit, also has various memorials, hospitals, schools, museums by his name, airports in India, so many things. But one thing which is very unique, friends, you may not have heard about a survey of Oxford University titled as Makers of the Universe. Makers of the Universe was a survey of 10,000 great personalities over the last 10,000 years. Yes, friends, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar proudly holds a place in the 10,000 men of the last 10,000 years as the fourth great person of the globe. Isn't it a feeling of pride for we the Indians? Certainly, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, not only a social entrepreneur to hold the social justice up, or not only the architect of the Indian Constitution, but he is like the lamp which has guided and directed India towards a path. He has not only given us the Indian Constitution, but he has secured this largest democracy with the wonderful principles of equality, fraternity, liberty, and justice. And justice includes the great social justice. When we talk about relevance, friends, of Dr. Ambedkar's thoughts, which happened in 1950 when the Constitution came up, and one would say that what is the relevance of those thoughts, those acts today? Well, recently in 2018, we all have seen the Sabrimala judgment. The Honorable Supreme Court of India very proudly upheld the right to equality of women. What is this? This is all a reflection of the ideas of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, the seeds which were sown hundreds of years back and reflected today. We are cultivating, we are reaping the benefits of all that Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has done, not merely for a handful of people, but for the entire nation. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar is such a great personality that days will be short to talk about him, to discuss about him. Due to constraint of time, we have to wind up and proceed with the program, friends. But as I said, today we lit the lamp of our inaugural with our thoughts, and let us keep this light ignited in our mind. Let us understand Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar was not only a economics, not only a social leader, not only a social justice crusader, but he first taught us to learn to live like good humans, learn to respect humanity. I appeal each one of you not merely to attend this webinar for the sake of certificates, for the sake of academic upgradations, but to feel the importance of the great teachings of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, and not just feel, try and practice at least 100.1% of what he has laid down for this great nation. If we try to walk on the paths of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's teaching, we certainly will be guided in the right direction. Let's try, we cannot be close to him in any manner, but let us try to do our best to secure social justice, to let everyone live with human dignity, respect the dignity of individuals, and live up to the promises we have made to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, and he has taught us. Let's be wonderful human beings on this planet. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Wonderful words by beautiful lady. Thank you, Dr. Sharmila ma'am. Now I would request Dr. Preeti Oja madam, COE of Grand Academic Portal, or if Dr. Gurudev Japti sir is available, please come on the platform and say a few words about the GAP and the national webinar. Madam, welcome. Mic is over to you, Preeti ma'am. Now I would request Dr. Preeti Oja madam, COE of Grand Academic Portal, or if Dr. Gurudev Japti sir is available, please
Good morning.
come on the platform and
First of all,
say a few
on
words
behalf
about
of
the
Grand
GAP and
Academic Portal,
national webinar.
on behalf of Dr. Gurudatta Japi, Chairman and founder of Grand Academic Portal, I, Preeti Oza, welcome you all on this very unique national webinar. And first of all, I would like to acknowledge and welcome the dignitaries here. Dr. Kalse, Dr. V. Sudesh, Dr. Priya Shah, Dr. Kshir Sagar. It is a pleasure, it is a privilege to have you today with us. little bit hitch is there because I think I'm getting the echo of my own because I'm also running parallelly my YouTube channel on this. So this is little reason for taking my little longer pauses. And first of all, would like to thank Dr. Sharmila Guge ma'am for initiating such a wonderful, concept. Dr. Vijita ma'am for pulling it, pushing it, supporting it like a complete backbone of this event. So without you two, strong support and the institutional support given by Jitendra Chauhan Law College, Vilepalde Kelawani Manda, Mumbai, and SS Madiyar Law College, Jalgaon, this event was not possible. Just would like to share something about what is Grand Academic Portal, because today when we are coming in front of you as an NGO, I think we should just make it very clear that we are only of its kind of an NGO working in the area of higher education in India and abroad. The vision and dream of this NGO started with a visionary of in the form of Dr. Gurudatta Japi, our founding member and chairperson. He had a vision of putting the entire, higher education arena, the fraternity, on one simple single platform. And the idea was to provide a very strong parallel system, maybe, or maybe the supplementary system apart from the other, government or any other system, to make them grow, to connect them. And I think after 5 years today, we are having almost 2,000 direct members, more than 20,000 indirect members, more than almost 25 institutional partners with us. And of course, we are going to share a lot of things about Grand Academic Portal in the due course, during the event also, and after the event also. Talking about today's event, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, I come from Mumbai, and just one word connects one whole, I don't use the word community. I say one whole generation, or maybe the complete, series of generation. Baba Saheb bolla hota, Baba Saheb bolle hote, Baba Saheb bolle hote. Three words, and it connects. It's a magnet. It's a magnet. And that one word somehow removes almost every possible discrimination. No one can even think of after that one word, because Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has actually given us that eye-opening, I would like to say eye-opening time, when all these generations, something which was not going on right. Today, almost 3 generations, I would like to just little generalize it, after 1950s, maybe this is the 3rd generation, 4th generation now, seeing the fruits of that equality, getting the benefits and privileges of that, being a part of the mainstream. And there is actually no mainstream. India has come to that place where some bygone things are bygone. So this is the 4th generation today, and we just cannot thank Dr. Babasaheb enough any day. So in this background, I think we have many experts with us today, thanks to Dr. Sharmila Guge ma'am and Dr. Vijita ma'am for calling such dignitaries on place today. On behalf of Grand Academic Portal, I would just like to announce 2 things which are related to today's event. We are in process of publication of a book. Dr. Sharmila ma'am and Dr. Vijita ma'am, they are the able editors of that book. We are trying to put something together on Babasaheb Ambedkar in a new concept, which is not told by anyone till now. And then this is a new unique feature of this particular event. Another thing is, we are coming up with one very special issue of our journal that is called Gap Bhasha. And Gap Bhasha is a kind of a journal, multilingual journal. And on 15th August, this coming 15th August 2021, we are going to have our own issue in multilingual issue on leaders of India And I'm sure today, when we say leaders of India, what we are going to talk about in today's event will be a sort of a milestone event, because somewhere down the line we are trying to put Dr. Ambedkar today in the 21st century. Today's time, a sort of a very absolutely sort of a threshold in the history. Lot of things are volatile, lot of things are changing, lot of transition, lot of liquidity in the ideologies, philosophy, thought process. And this is a time to reach out to the larger audience, especially academia. And this is a small effort with the help of SS Maniar Law College and Jitendra Chauhan Law College of Vilepale Kellavali Manda, Mumbai, to reach out to the fraternity with the help of our own invited experts. Thank you, Dr. Vijeta ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Sharmila ma'am. And looking forward to having our experts talk now onwards. GAP and Dr. Gurudatta Japi, on behalf of both of this, I welcome you all and I thank you all.
Thank you very much. Beautiful Rodi with such a wonderful word. Thank you, Preeti Oja ma'am. Now, friends, again the third empowered lady, I am going to call Dr. Priya Shah madam, Principal of Jitendra Chauhan College of Law. Madam, please speak out the few words. Over to you, Shah ma'am, please.
Thank you, Dr. Vijeta Singh, madam, for the kind words. A very good morning to one and all present in this national webinar. Well, as spoken earlier about the session by Dr. Sharmila madam, this is a cumulative association for the national webinar of GAP, Grand Academic Portal, that is, Shri Vilepale Kelvani Mandal Jitendra Chauhan College of Law and SS Maniar Law College, Jalgaon. So we are very happy today to organize this national webinar on Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's thoughts in this 21st century. I wish to welcome all the dignitaries today. That first and foremost, Dr. Gurudatta, the chairperson of GAP, Principal, Maniar Law College, Dr. Y.K. Reddy, the esteemed speakers of the day, Dr. V. Sudesh sir, Dr. Anand Kalse sir, Dr. Shiv Sagar sir, and our webinar coordinators, Sharmila madam, Preeti Oza madam, Vijeta Singh madam, and all other invited guests, and above all, our dear participants. To begin with, let me just kind of, in short, talk a little about Dr. Ambedkar's, achievements. Now, Dr. Ambedkar's clarity of thought has never been so more important as we witness societies divided between those who experience the continuing humiliation of caste discrimination and violence, and those who deny its reality. The fight against which Dr. Ambedkar has devoted his entire life. The world is awakening to the importance of him as a great thinker, a leader, a democrat, and guide to the teachings of Buddha. The impact that Dr. Ambedkar had in defining today's India is unparalleled, my dear friends. His contributions in laying the foundation of transformed India with a rejuvenated socio-economic structure are laudable indeed. However, certain events in the recent times poses certain questions before us. Now, let's hear it from the experts today of this national webinar. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Vijeta Singh madam.
Thank you very much, Iron Lady, for your wonderful words.
I kept it very short, madam.
Yeah. Now I would request my very own principal, Dr. B. Kumar Reddy sir, Principal of SS Maniar Law College, Jalgaon, to say few words about Maniar Law College, and with that.
Thank you, Dr. Vijeta madam. Good morning to all eminent personalities gathering together on this occasion. So it gives me immense pleasure to me for organizing a national level webinar with Jitendra Chauhan Law College and the Grand Academic Portal, GAP India. So once again, I am very much thankful for them. Today's guests with the different designations who are taking part in this national webinar, jointly organizing by 3 institutions at national level, respected Dr. Priya J. Shah, Principal of Jitendra Chauhan Law College, and Dr. Gurudatta, Chairman of GAP, and the backbone and important personalities for organizing this national webinar, Dr. Sharmila Guge Madam, Dr. P.T. Oja, CEO of GAP, and my own sister, Dr. Vijeta Singh, who has taken initiation, and the important component for celebration this national webinar, Dr. Anand Kalse from Mumbai, Professor Dr. Sudesh from Bangalore University, and Dr. D.R. Shirsagar, Senior Faculty of my college, all of you. So I would like to say few words because all experts are enlightening about Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, and just now we heard Dr. Uge Madam has enlightened several things, and at different dimensions the guest speakers will speak. Let me say a few words about my institution. This institution is located in Khandeshi area, particularly in Jalgaon, which is in North Maharashtra University. This institution is under the banner of Khandesh College Education Society, which was established in 1944 with a prominent and philanthropic citizens in this area. And the KCE Society first established Mulgi Jata College in 1945, and subsequently one B.Ed college in the name of KCE Society's B.Ed college. In 1970, SS Maniyar Law College was established. This SS Maniyar Law College, importing legal education in Khandeshi region of North Maharashtra, which is affiliated to North Maharashtra University since 1991. And prior to that, this college was with under the control of Pune University. And this college was having permanent recognition from Bar Council of India. And this college has completed 3 cycles of NET. In the first cycle in 2004, so college got B++ grade. And subsequently in 2011, the college received A grade from NET. And during the year 2017 and 19, so there was changes in the format of NET, and the college undergone for NET 3rd cycle and got B grade. Friends, this is the one of the oldest law college in this Khandeshi region. The college is running LLB 3 years course from since 1970. And when this BSL LLB, that is 5 years integrated course was started, by the time the college has introduced LLB 5 years as well. In addition to that, LLM, interdisciplinary course is running with the intake of 40, that is interdisciplinary course, criminal laws and constitutional law and legal order. So, and also criminal law as a interdisciplinary, as a new dimension, we have started this LLM course. In addition to that, a traditional courses, that is DTL, Diploma in Taxation Law, DLLLW. In addition to that, under Ordinance 181, the Khandeshi area, which is rural and Adivasi area, for the development and for sustainability of the students, the college has introduced 2 diplomas, 1 PG diplomas. 1 diploma is a diploma on human rights and social development, and another diploma is a diploma in cyber laws. The special features are there for those, the advantages are there to the rural people only who are undergoing any degree. They can go ahead for, simultaneously they can go ahead for another diploma as well. In addition to that, so PG diploma in biotechnology, PG diploma in medical jurisprudence, and PG diploma in intellectual property rights. These 5 PG diplomas, 2 diplomas we are running in this institution. The institution is, though there is lack of transporting and travel facilities because it is in semi-rural area, every time the college is competing with the other institutions which are having all facilities in the metro areas. So we are witnessing that today we have jointly with the Jitendra Chauhan Law College, which is situated in metropolitan city. Like that, so for several programs, whatever the corporate institutions or national law institutions are performing, each and every activities we are performing in this institution. And the college is possessing all the faculty members or doctorates and having their own merits in this institution. Today, we can see that under Khandesh College Education Society, which is running with the Honorable Chairman of Dr. Nandakumar Ji Bendale, under his control, he is himself dedicated for education. He is an awardee of Ratnashali in the state of Maharashtra last before year. Under his control, so we are doing unimaginable achievements. Friends, today we are celebrating this national webinar, relevance of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar thoughts in the 21st century. So the entire scenario which will cover for the contributions made by Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, which is relevance, his thoughts in this 21st century, when it was, or depending only 2 things that will cover socio-political, economic, legal, each and every dimension, whichever we may discuss under academics. In that way, so what is his wording? The worth and not the birth is the measurement of man. So you please, each and every person has to see the worth of the candidate, but not the birth. That may be wherever we may go, that may be the financial issue, that may be the political issue, that may be the legal issue, that may be any issue you can see. So we have to recognize, then only the justice will come out. The ultimate object of each and every person or a people in the society should maintain rule of law, so that the justice can be had. And the great man is different from an eminent person, clear. So such a great person who has contributed in the constitution, we may be saying that legend. So we may be saying that heart of the constitution or constitutional remedies and what are not. She is the noble person who has contributed according to, so the version given by Dr. Guge Madam, the entire scenario of his degrees, doctorates, each and everything she has touched. I don't want to tell much more about Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar because our eminent speakers who are there, they will enlighten and they will give their own contributions towards this topic. I don't want to take much time on this. So with these few words, I will conclude. Thank you. Thank you all once again.
Thank you very much, sir, for such wonderful words about the institution and the program. Thank you, sir. Friends, now we are moving ahead and we are going to commence with the very first session. So I am handing over mic to Dr. Professor Rekha Madam. Madam, mic is over to you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Good morning and namaskar to all the dignitaries and distinguished guests, all the delegates, participants who are present over here. Indeed, it's my proud privilege to introduce today's guest speaker, who is a very renowned personality in the state of Maharashtra. He is none other than our very own Dr. Anant Namdev Rao Kadse sir. Sir, he has completed BSc, LLM and PhD degree in law from Mumbai. In his early stage of career, Sir started practice at Aurangabad District and Sessions Court. Thereafter, in the year 1981, he got an opportunity to join Maharashtra Legislature Secretariat, wherein Sir served in various capacities, and he held the office of secretary in the year 2003. Later on, in the year 2007, Sir assumed the office of principal secretary in Maharashtra Legislature. Sir has also attended and participated in various seminars and conferences of presiding officers and secretaries of legislative bodies in India. Not only this, Sir has delivered various lectures on different topics, including the one on parliamentary practice and procedure, Constitution of India, administrative law, human rights, international law, interpretation of statutes, feminist jurisprudence, and so on. Friends, the list is very long, so I cannot make mention of every lecture. Sir has also attended and participated in various parliamentary study tours organized at different places across the world. The one which was organized in Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, United Kingdom, France, Italy, and in many other countries. Sir has also worked as a visiting faculty at PG Department of Law, Mumbai University, PG Department of Law, SNDT University, Government Law College, Mumbai, KC Law College, Mumbai, Yashoda Institute of Pune, Maharashtra Judicial Academy, Pune, and at various other places. Sir has secured as many as 39 publications to his credit, both in English and in Marathi language. So it is worth mention. It is worth that I should mention few of these books which would inspire you. These include the one on parliamentary practice and procedure with special reference to Maharashtra legislature. The another one which is very important, it is lawmaking process and introduction. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's speech before Constituent Assembly of India, and on various other topics, Sir has contributed his writing. So it's a time that I invite Dr. Anant Namdev Rao Kadse sir to deliver the talk on the topic of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, the architect of Indian Constitution. Over to you, sir. Are you there, sir? Dr. Anant Rao Kadse sir.
Yes, madam, sir is there.
Please unmute yourself, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
All dignitaries, then I am very much grateful to that organization, and I am also grateful to Dr. Sharmila ma'am and all my esteemed colleagues, celebrated guests. Today, my subject is a Dr. Architect of the Constitution, Dr. Ambedkar, who is the main architect of the Constitution. His contribution to the Indian Constitution. The word Constitution, Indian Constitution, cannot be complete without the contribution of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Of course, all the speakers, they have described the greatness of Dr. Ambedkar. He is a great academician, great social worker, great political leader, and his statement also. So, Dr. Ambedkar, to say about Dr. Ambedkar, it is some sort of to say, show the lamp to the sun. His great contribution to the Indian country. In the history of the India, his name is written by the golden letter. He has given, first of all, I will not speak. Sorry, due to my certain bad health, I can't express myself properly. But anyway, doctor's contribution, I will put just 2-3 points. I harp on the 2-3 points because complete philosophy of the Constitution has been given by Dr. Ambedkar. Philosophy is governance.
Sorry to interrupt you. Please, could you on your video? We want to take your snapshot, sir.
Video.
Ji.
Okay, ma'am.
Ji, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry for the same. Huh? So, without the contribution of Dr. Ambedkar, the history of this country cannot be complete. Because Dr. Ambedkar has given a complete governing system of governance to our country. He gave such a nice and beautiful constitution containing all noble principles. And without these principles, our country could not function, could not work well in future or coming to the time. See, Dr. Ambedkar has given such a nice philosophy, governance, that everything he has given to our country. I cannot find a word how he has contributed to Indian Constitution. Without whose contribution, Constitution could not have been completed. One more thing, that his philosophy is included. Philosophy of the governance has been completely enshrined in the preamble of the Constitution. Preamble of the Constitution is supposed to be the most precious document, precious philosophy, and you may call it as a precious, that is the principles has been laid down in the preamble of the Constitution of India, which gave the directions to the future India. On the basis of these directions, the India now progressing a lot. So what exactly the preamble says? Exactly, if you just go through the preamble of the Constitution, then you will get each and everything what Dr. Ambedkar would like to give to our country. That we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social justice, economic justice, political justice, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, worship, then equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and unity of and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, to adopt, enact, and give to ourselves. We, the people of India, denotes the supremacy of the people. So, basic and most important philosophy, principle, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, through his preamble, he has given the supremacy of the people. In our country, nobody is supreme, nobody is sovereign, but people are sovereign, people are supreme. Most of the decisions of the Supreme Court later on is based on this philosophy of the we the people of India. Most important word, we the people of India. Then all type of justices, social justice, economic justice, political justice, Then liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, worship, equality, liberty, equality, then justice and fraternity. These are the four pillars of the constitution, and on which complete edifice of the constitution is based. And sovereign, socialist, secular, all those things are already, it is in the preamble itself. So this concept is most important. And four more points just I would like to highlight so far as concept of Dr. Ambedkar has given to our country. He has in the Constituent Assembly, if you go to the debate of the Constituent Assembly, most of the speakers, they thought that we must have a old type of democracy, then Gram Swaraj, then Ram Raj, like this only. It's a vague concept they have advocated. With due respect to all these, those who are not those who differ with me, but Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar has given a democracy which is styled on the Western philosophy, based on the rule of law, based on the that is a French Revolution, based on the American Revolution, where liberty, equality, fraternity, brotherhood, right to property, these are all based. So this is what my first point, that he has given a Western style of democracy based on the rule of law. It is a rule of law, not rule of man. So this is the most important point to my mind, that Dr. Sahib has given the system based on the rule of law. Otherwise, you are aware about the systems, what is going on during the kingship and all those things. The rule of law, it is a very famous principle of the Dicey. Supremacy of law, equality before law, predominance of legal spirit. So supremacy of law, rule of law means supremacy of law. Nobody is above the law of the land. This is the base philosophy we have introduced through our constitutional process. So the philosophy and ideals of the Indian constitution is completely based on the principle of the rule of law. And if rule of law is not prevailed in our country, then our country will be ruined. And what happened to our country, I don't know exactly. But the concept of rule of law is the most important concept. Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar has given through the through the constitution, and he is really for that thing also, that only one thing which is very important thing, crucial thing, fundamental thing, due to which he may be called the architect of the modern India, because he has given a nice principle of the rule of law. Then justice, the all concept of justices, social justice. Social justice is a very important thing, very fundamental thing for our country, because our country could not survive unless we have a social justice. Then political justice. Political justice is very important for us. Then that is a one man, one vote. See that is a plight of the women in other countries. In the democracy like America, democracy like that is a Britain, they claim that ours is a 800-year-old democracy. Still, the women have to struggle hard for getting the voting right. But this voting right, moment our constitution came into force, this voting rights, and that is through political democracy we got it. And particularly for the women, one man, one vote, one vote. The great philosophy Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar has given, that is a political justice and right to the women, social justice. Then he regards civil liberties as he attaches most important thing as a civil liberties, and he is a staunch supporter of the fundamental rights. He is greatly influenced by the principle of the Martin Luther King, that is a civil liberty, because Dr. Saheb has visited, studied so many constitutions of the world, and civil liberties, and in the form of the fundamental rights, he has given a great thing to our country, that right to liberty, right to equality, right to fraternity, that is a right to freedom. Best thing he has given through the fundamental right is a civil liberties. And due to that civil liberties and fundamental rights, our constitution became a unique constitution in the world. That fundamental rights, and that discarded the old concept of that all political thinking, and he has advocated a new, absolutely new concept, modern concept of the philosophy, modern constitution, modern principles, democratic values, rule of law, liberty, equality, and all the principles which has been evolved in the during the French Revolution. That is a main gift of Dr. Ambedkar so far as this constitution is concerned. So he is very much influenced by the one more thing here. Dr. Sahib has delivered 3 important speeches, and I just request all of you that you please go through the 3 important speeches of the Dr. Ambedkar. 17th December 1946, 4th of November 1948, 25th November 1949. These are the 3 most important speeches he delivered in the Constituent Assembly. And in the Constituent Assembly, while delivering the speeches, he attaches most important thing to the national integration. National integration, it is a crux of the Dr. Ambedkar's philosophy. To keep the nation together, the integration is must. Otherwise, this nation will, this nation will not be survived first. If national integration and national integrity, he advocated the principle of the strong center. That is also a very, that is a fundamental philosophy he has given. Strong center. He advocated always a strong center. Otherwise, this weak center might jeopardize the democratic process and might jeopardize the nation, and our nation will be broken into pieces. So that's why national integrity, national integration, and as well as strong center he has advocated. That is also a great contribution of Dr. Ambedkar to the nation. And he has he influenced his philosophy. He get it done in the constitution, that strong center, by providing the strong center. And instead of imitating the concept of federalism that is from America and Canada, he has advocated a new federalism, which is a much discarded the legalism. It is in between legalism and federalism. He has devises certain ways, which is a very golden ways. So that's why federalism, he has given a new interpretation to the federalism. Not only the interpretation, but to practically adopt such type of federalism that the India would not come into trouble in future. So that's why he adopted the Australian model, and that's why the central list, concurrent list, long list of subjects of he has put in the constitution. That is a list 1, list 2, list 3. List 1, that is a union subject, list 2 state subject, and list 3 is a central subject. So this concept of that the difficulty of legalism and interpretation of the federal, because our constitution is a quasi-federal constitution, the little bit rather federal, not it is a unitary, nor it is a federal, but it is a quasi-federal constitution. It is a great contribution of Dr. Sahab that he has devised a middle way, middle path to have a good system of governance and to have a long list of provide the long subject of the that is a list in the federal list that is a concurrent list. In that way, there is conflict is avoided. Conflict is avoided, and in that way, country could function very well. It is a great contribution of Dr. Ambedkar. So far as civil liberty is concerned, political justice, I have explained you, much can be explained about the political justice, much can be social justice. He is a pioneer of the social justice. India is a socio-economic document. Social justice, without social justice, political justice cannot exist. Economic justice cannot exist. So he is a great person who has provided all sort of social justice, economic justice, political justice. Then this is the great contribution of Dr. Saab, that to provide a concept of the social justice in our constitution. Not only provided social justice, but he, by letter and spirit, he has made so many provision, abolition of untouchability, that is a complete reservation policy, then complete various rights to the persons, various rights to the women, a complete, that is a free and fair election system. So all these are the principles which has been enshrined in our constitution, has made this constitution as a great constitution in the world concern. So all rights mentioned in the preamble, it is the most modern constitution based on the complete democratic values, rule of law, liberty and equality. It is influenced by the other constitution of the world also. Strong center is to my mind, basically he has provided a strong center in our that is the constitutional system. Due to this strong center and given somewhat weightage to the union power, central power, and state has been made somewhat in secondary position. This is his great contribution, and due to his strong center concept of the strong center, now India could survive. And at the national level, we can take various decisions and avoid legalism in federal system. Then distribution of powers, long list of distribution of powers, state list, central list, union list, and due to this long list of distribution of powers, the government is functioning well today also. Then amending process, nicely he has avoided American amending process, Article 5. That is a very rigorous amending process. Is a practically follow the constitution, but our constitution is completely a flexible one, and due to the flexibility provided in our constitution, we could be amended our constitution 103 times. So that rigidity is avoided so far as the amending process is concerned. Not American, we have taken rigidity, not Australian rigidity, but we have taken a system so far as amendment is concerned, because it is his opinion that person, the party in power must have a majority, 2/3 majority in the parliament. Then they have no right to amend propose the amendment in the constitution. So in that way, it is also a novel process Dr. Ambedkar has provided in the constitution so far as amending process is concerned. All sort of difficulties he has avoided by following the difficulties faced by the other constitution also. One more point is that he has given provided an indestructible union. Union cannot be destroyed. He avoided the word federal state, even though that letter and spirit, our constitution is basically a federal, having a that is a unitary feature so far as at the time of the war and a certain unprecedented situation. The situation is as such, but he avoided the using the word federal system, because he wants that India to be united, India to be one, India to be union of states. So that also a very great concept he has introduced in the Constitution of India. It is a union of state having a strong center, and each and everything, every details in the Constitution provided. Very long Constitution but Dr. felt that if we provided not as that strong Constitution, then our Constitution would be destroyed further. That's why his philosophy, all his philosophy, including preamble, social justice, economic justice. For economic justice, the concept of directive principles, complete directive principles has provided to how the welfare of the people, welfare of the country. So it is a socio-welfare document, and it is really a unique one. Modern constitution, principles of democratic value, principle of rule of law, liberty, equality. So all those novel features Dr. Sahib has provided in our constitutions particularly. And one more thing I would like to point out that he is a great philosopher, great human being. He is the greatest academician. And that time when constitution process, the drafting process was started in the year 46, 9th of December 1946, when cabinet mission plan come to our country and they have proposed a new constitution. That's why thinking was there that whether we should call Austin, Granville Austin that time was a famous parliamentarian and constitutional makers from other countries. But that time, Gandhiji has strongly advocated that why we should call Austin for framing the Indian constitution. We are having the person, academician person, greatest person like Dr. Ambedkar. So that's why all the job, he was not expecting that this job was entrusted to him. But ultimately, due to his speeches, the three speeches, everybody is influenced by the knowledge, then sagacity, then his expertise so far as this legal knowledge is concerned, and they have entrusted this job. They made a member of the Dr. Ambedkar, member of the Constituent Assembly, and they have suggested this job to that member of the Constituent Assembly. But ultimately, he was elected as a chairman of the drafting committee on 1947, when drafting committee was established, constituted. Dr. Ambedkar was made a member of the drafting committee and ultimately was chosen as a member of the drafting committee. One more point, I would just like to point out that how his contribution so far as drafting committee is concerned. I will not go to much detail because everybody knows it, that time after this meeting in the Constituent Assembly, Sri T.T. Krishnamachari, who is one of the noted and scholar in this country that time, later on became a finance minister of our free India. Mr. President, sir, I would like to quote this whose famous statement. Mr. President, I am one of those in the house who have listened to Dr. Ambedkar very carefully. I am aware that the amount of work and enthusiasm that he has brought to bear on the work of drafting this constitution at the same time, I do realize that amount of attention that was necessary for the purpose of to it by the drafting committee. The House is perhaps aware that the 7 members nominated by you, one had resigned from the House and was replaced. One died and was not replaced. One was away out in America and his place was not filled up. And another person was engaged in state affairs, and there was void to that extent. one or two people, were far away from Delhi, and perhaps the reasons of health did not permit them to attend. So it happened. Ultimately, no doubt that we are grateful to him, to Dr. Ambedkar, for giving that achieved this task in a manner which is undeniable. So everybody has praised Dr. Ambedkar's contribution in the Constituent Assembly. So for each and every article, just when you go through the Constituent Assembly debate, every article he gave explanation and what was his view and all those things. Listening all the views, finalize the amendment, then put all those things, central, states, then that is it's a election commission provision regarding election commission, free and fair election. Complete concept of Dr. Ambedkar and his philosophy regarding social philosophy, economic philosophy, political philosophy, everything he has included, that incorporated in the constitution. In that way, his contribution is very great so far as this constitution is concerned. Due to little bit problem to me, I could not much further continue, and I am extremely grateful to you for giving me opportunity to express my views on the views so far as Dr. Ambedkar is concerned and our drafting of the constitution is concerned. with this view, with extremely sorry for the not continuing lecture much. I take your leave.
Thank you very much, sir. In fact, it was very wonderful information which was shared by you with all the participants. I'm sure that this information is going to be very, very, very helpful to all the participants. Sir, in nutshell, I would like to here add that you have enlightened all the participants with Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's philosophy as to the governance of country, his contribution towards. You enlighten the preamble of the Constitution, fundamental principle to which you said as fundamental pillars of the Constitution. You emphasized on the diocese principle of a rule of law and not a rule of man. You also focused on social justice, political democracy, rule of law enshrined, or we can say it as the basic feature of the Constitution. You went on emphasizing on Martin Luther principle of civil liberty, and you also focused on three important speeches delivered by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar on national integration, wherein he focused on having the strong center. You also made mention of three lists of India, quasi federal feature of the quasi federal nature of the Constitution, rather I should say, referring Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar as the pioneer of social justice. You also explain the other features of the Constitution, like the abolition of untouchability, free and fair election, etc., etc. You also explained on undistracted union and directive principles of Constitution, too many more things. So, sir, thank you very much that you have enlightened on many topics thoroughly. So, with this, I request all the participants who are attending this session to post your queries in the chat box on Zoom, or on chat box window on Zoom or on YouTube. Okay, due to time constraint, we'll be taking only selected questions. Yes, anybody, if you are having any query, you can ask. You can write down in your chat box.
Pooja, madam.
Yes, madam.
I think sir has explained very well and in the thorough manner. So participants were not in position to ask him question, I think. So if you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll express our great thanks to sir and we'll invite Sudesh sir.
Sir, just one query I want to ask you about the lecture which you have delivered. Sir, you said like Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, he focused on national integration. He delivered three speeches on which he actually emphasized on the principle of having strong center. So please, could you enlighten us on this more?
No, his basic idea is that unless the center is strong, the India could not survive further. So that's why national integration in first speech, I suppose on 17 December 1946, in first speech he has advocated the importance of the national integration. Unless there is a national integration, then that constitution could not be be a fulfilled one, that is made, and that's why national integration should be our first agenda. So that's why he has advocated this principle nicely on 17th 12 1946. And due to his speeches, all the members of the Constituent Assembly were very much impressed by this 1946 speech. And due to his speech, he is recognized as a well-known leader and well-known academician so far as Constitution is concerned. And most of the leaders, Nehru, Patel, they thought that without the contribution of Dr. Ambedkar, Constitution could not be complete. So that is what in the speech itself it is mentioned. So national integration should be the first agenda of each and every party. Then only we could function well, we could govern well, we could prepare Constitution for our free India.
Sir, again, just out of curiosity, I'm asking you, sir, my question, it is relating to having, strong need and necessity of strong center. So can we say, like, a country like USA, it is not working on the principle of having strong center. So could you please guide us on this, like the need of having strong center?
In America, they don't have a strong center because the states are independent one. They have got their own rights, their constitution, their flag, everything. Now, during that, there is an epidemic, Corona epidemic. So many times, Trump could not take proper decisions, and they have to ask the centers. That's why in the American condition during that epidemic, you are all aware about in America. But in our country, due to strong center and vast powers given to the central, the Modi, our Prime Minister Modi could immediately impose, that is a lockdown throughout the country. So that is the benefit so far as strong center is concerned. And a country like ours, we are having so many languages, so many religions, so many interests, political interests. We need definitely a strong center. Otherwise, strong center, that country may not function properly, and there may not be a integration, or you may call it as the country's interests could not be protected like this only. So that's why I am of the firm opinion that I am not, that our leaders and it is the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar whole concept is that without strong center, India could not function because we are having a lot of caste, creed, diverse interest. So that is a very must and a fundamental thing that we must have a strong center to function country well, in a well orderly manner.
Thank you very much, sir. You have thoroughly answered the query which I was having. So thank you very much once again. Now, moving on. Friends, as you all know, and we are really proud of that ours is, India is the largest democracy in the world. For more than 73 years, we have witnessed the conduct of successful elections, peaceful changes of government, both at center and at state level, people exercising freedom of speech and expression, freedom of movement, freedom of religion. But on other hand, we also see that, quite often we listen the complaint about prevalent inequalities, injustice, or, non-fulfillment of expectation of certain sections of the society. These people do not feel themselves participative in the parliamentary democratic process. In India, we keep on debating on these aspects of parliamentary democracy and its achievement and challenges. To quote Babasaheb Ambedkar here, he said that parliamentary democracy is in reality a government of hereditary subject. Government of hereditary subject class by hereditary ruling class.
Ma'am, that subject I left out inadvertently. But the parliamentary democracy is really a brainchild of Dr. Ambedkar. Because in Constituent Assembly, he has nicely explained in 4th of November 1948, whether should we have a parliamentary democracy or should we have a presidential democracy? Because parliamentary democracy is which is prevailed in the Britain, which is more that is responsible to the people. Parliamentary democracy is more responsible to the people, because in parliamentary democracy we have a parliamentary executive which is depend on the majority of the that is a majority in the House of People or Legislative Assembly. And parliamentary democracy, in parliamentary democracy, unless the government has a majority, that is the principle of the collective government, principle of a collective government, that the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister to aid and advise the President, and that Council of Ministers can remain in power so long as it commands a majority in the House of People or Legislative Assembly. And the moment they lose the majority, they cannot function. So that's why in parliamentary democracy, at no point of time, the government can afford to lose a majority in the House of People or Legislative Assembly of the state, which is a popularly elected house and which are directly representative of the people. But presidential democracy is some sort of it is a non-parliamentary executive, and in presidential democracy, the president is not responsible to the Congress, that is House of Representatives and Senate. So Congress cannot remove president and his cabinet. Moment president is elected for 4 years, he cannot be removed by the Congress. That's why it is a non-parliamentary executive. So that's why Dr. Ambedkar prepared in Constituent Assembly that he preferred that we must have a responsible government, responsive democracy, which is answerable to the people, answerable to the representative of the people. So that's why it is a very important decision in Constituent Assembly. It was taken that we must have a parliamentary democracy instead of the American presidential democracy. Because in America, once a government is elected, nobody can remove American government for 4 years. So it is some sort of irresponsible government. But parliamentary democracy, which is most suitable to our country, and which is responsible to the people. So that's why that is a difference between American presidential system and British parliamentary system. And deliberately our constitutional makers choose that we must have an American British parliamentary system, and which is very useful to our country, which stood the test of the time also. From last 70 years we are progressing due to the under the system of parliamentary democracy.
Vijita madam, I got disconnected. Just I joined the meet again.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. No issue.
So shall I continue?
Professor has highlighted very well, answered his question.
Yes, I in between I joined and I listened to what he said. Okay.
You can take over.
Shall I continue?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Sorry for interruption. So I was actually welcoming our today's guest speaker, Professor Dr. V. Sudesh sir. So, sir, I welcome you on behalf of SVKM's Jitendra Chavan College of Law and Grand Academic Portal, GAP India, and KC Society's SS Maniar Law College, Jalgaon, once again. Before we listen to our distinguished guest today, I would like to introduce you all with Sir's charismatic academic personality. Professor Dr. V. Sudesh is an alumnus of Bangalore University, Bangalore. He completed his BA LLB degree in the year 1991. Later on, Sir secured master's degree in law in the year 1993 from University Law College, Department of Studies in Law. Sir pursued his doctoral research program in labor law under the guidance of Professor Dr. V.B. Kotinhu, former Vice Chancellor of Gulbarga University in the state of Karnataka, and he secured PhD degree in the year 2005. Overall, Sir has teaching and research experience of more than 26 years. His area of interest are labor laws, intellectual property laws, and jurisprudence. Sir has successfully guided as many as 8 PhD students. He has completed project on arbitration, street vendors, and UGC project on building and other construction worker law, etc. He has served as the officiating Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, Dean Faculty of Law, Chairman and Principal of University Law College, Bangalore University. So such is a versatile personality amongst us all today. So without much ado, I invite Professor Dr. V. Sudesh sir to guide us on the topic of Dr. Ambedkar's thought on challenges to parliamentary democracy. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Rekha Pahuja, madam. Greetings to one and all. At the outset, I'm happy to join this national webinar on relevance of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's thoughts in the 21st century, which is being organized by SVKM's Jitendra Chauhan College of La Mumbai, Grand Academic Portal, SS Maniar Law College, Jalgaon, Maharashtra. I am also thankful to the webinar patrons, Dr. Priya Shah, Dr. Gurudatta Jappi madam, my friend, Principal of SS Maniar Law College, Dr. B. Yuvakumar Reddy sir, the webinar coordinators, Dr. Sharmila Guge, Dr. Preeti Oza, Dr. Vijeta Singh, and all the panelists who have spoken before me and the rest who have joined us. Well, it is indeed a great opportunity for me as a teacher, as a researcher, to speak on such a wonderful personality, a dynamic personality, about whom all speakers before me have spoken. But let me tell you, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar is one of modern era's undisputed social champion. All his writings, his speeches are the direct outcome of his life struggles and experiences, his education, his reading of political history, his economic thoughts, and his reading of religious books, and his devotion and belief in Buddha and his Dhamma. So much of experience definitely, therefore, should produce such a wonderful personality. Therefore, despite many contemporaries during Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's lifetime, he is remembered as the most modern champion of social justice, not only by his contemporaries, but by people who read him later, who saw him later. I am given the topic to speak on the conditions precedent for the success of modern democracy. Well, my presentation today is based upon the speech Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar gave when he was invited by the members of the Pune District Law Library on 22nd December 1952, which is basically published in the book titled The Essential Ambedkar, edited by Balchandra Mungekar. Friends, the word democracy, which is the main focal point of today's discussion, is of immediate significance to all of us, because we need to practice the concept or implement it at every institution in our society. To a non-political student, the word democracy may be a legalistic concept, a governmentalistic concept, a governmentalistic view, but to vast majority of the people of the society, of this world, the word democracy is very inherent, because it shows the character of his or her way of life in society. While we need to refer to the thoughts of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on the challenges to democracy, we also need to consider what is its relevance today. Let me put it straight that it is more relevant than now than it was ever in the 19th or the 20th century. If the 19th century was a century of ideas being promoted, of ideas being propagated, the 20th century was a century of ideas being practiced, ideas being implemented. And the 21st century has posed challenges to this concept of democracy. Therefore, have the conditions changed? Not much. It pretty much remains the same. Rather, it has aggravated a lot, is my personal opinion. Friends, as we begin to discuss the meaning of the word democracy and the challenges to it, we need to understand what Babasaheb himself understood by the word democracy. At the outset, he gives this thesis, he proposes this thesis that democracy is always changing its form. What he means to say is, within the same country, democracy is not always the same. In a country like ours, which is divided by class, caste, religion, and various institutions, democracy, you can understand, changes its form. Further, he says, democracy not only undergoes changes in form, democracy also undergoes changes in purposes. So his core idea in giving us the statement that democracy always undergoes changes in purposes is with this hint that for a democracy to function successfully, it must have a purpose to serve. So therefore, he picks up two definitions of democracy. One, in his book, he refers to Walter Bagehot, who says democracy is a government by discussion. Another definition which he picks up is the definition given by Abraham Lincoln, where Abraham Lincoln, as all of us know, democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Somehow, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar is not convinced with these two definitions because they do not say the purpose for which democratic form of government must be formed. And therefore, he goes on to give his own definition of democracy with a purpose. And as you know, in his own words, he says, I quote him, "My definition of democracy is a form and a method of government whereby revolutionary changes in the economic and social life of the people are brought about without bloodshed." Fantastic, isn't it? He links the purpose of democracy to bring about revolutionary changes in the economic and social life of the people without bloodshed. So he gives us a hint that democracy is a form where, for example, a parliamentary form of government, a method of election, the majority forming the government, but all this with the purpose of bringing economic and social life, changes in economic and social life without bloodshed. Therefore, he hints that the burden or the responsibility of running the government in a democracy is to bring fundamental changes in the social and economic life of the people. The burden is on the government which is ruling at the present times. So with this initial thoughts of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar on the definition or the meaning of democracy, he moves ahead to take up some of the challenges to democracies. Some of those things which he considers could be identified as burdens, as hurdles for the success of democracy, keeping in view that democracy is for bringing about revolutionary changes without bloodshed. If you keep that in mind, these 6 or 7 hurdles, 6 or 7 challenges that he has identified becomes very relevant in the 21st century also. Let me go one by one. One of the first challenges that Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar states is that absence of glaring inequalities. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar says that in a democracy, or for the smooth working of democracy, there must be no glaring inequalities of the society, inequalities in the society. How relevant it is for the today's world, today's 21st century India. He says that for a democracy to be successful, there must be no oppressed class, no suppressed class. Because he says, he inherently admits that whenever there is an oppressed class, there is a suppressed class, it is going to pose a challenge to democracy. And this challenge will have to be removed only by taking away the privilege from the privileged class. So if the privileged class voluntarily do not give up their privilege, if the privileged class do not willingly give up their privilege, then the oppressed class and the suppressed class will remain, which according to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar would pose a great challenge. It will distance the oppressed class, the gap between the oppressed and suppressed class and the privileged class will get widened. The more wide it is, there is more chance of friction, and this friction could bring fire to democracy. Having stated, having identified that, he says that if you, he gives proof for it. He doesn't say bluntly. He says, look at the history of democracy in various parts of the world, and you will find out that one of the causes for the breakdown of democracy is the existence of these social gaps, these social cleavages. He moves on to identify the second challenge to a successful democracy. The second thing which successful working of democracy requires is the existence of a strong opposition. Pause for a minute and look at contemporary India. Need of strong opposition. He says that there must be people in the parliament immediately ready, then and there, to challenge the government. When the authority is not challenged, when the government is not challenged, the government will be led to tyranny. So therefore, he says, a strong opposition will make the government responsible. The government must justify its action to those who do not belong to their party. But what's happening? Even during his times, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar says that even during those times, he says that today's newspapers, those times newspaper, and it is no different from today's newspaper, if I may say so. He says newspapers give credence to only what the government of the day is doing. They do not cover up the issues raised by the opposition. They give seldom any scope, either in the print or the electronic media, to present the opposition viewpoint. This, he says, is a challenge to democracy. Whether it is by the media or whether it is within the parliament, if the government is not responsible to the opposition, and that becomes a hurdle for the success of a democracy. The third point that Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar identifies in considering hurdles to democracy, challenge to democracy, is equality in law and administration. Well, he admits that equality or absolute equality or too much equality cannot be achieved. There might be cases here and there when there is no equality before the law. But what Dr. Ambedkar says is, what is important is equality of treatment in administration. It is quite possible for a good many of you, for us to imagine or recall places where you can think, where the government of the day, the administration of the day has favored a particular person because he or she belongs, he or his party belongs to the ideology of the ruling party. That, according to Dr. Ambedkar, is violation of equality in administration. Take the case of granting of license to business. Take the case of naming of institutions and roads. He quotes the examples of the British time also, that even during the British time, this was the problem of all Britishers naming institutions after them, roads after them. Now, this aspect of the ruling class giving preference in administrative matters to people who belong to them, to their ideology, is a great challenge to democracy. Furthermore, here I identifies the fourth challenge to democracy, and that is observance of constitutional morality. As law students, as law teachers, in recent times, we have read several judgments of the Supreme Court of India, especially by Honorable Justice Chandrachud of the Supreme Court of India, using this word constitutional morality in his judgments and elsewhere in the speeches that he has made. Now, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar says, the fourth condition precedent for the successful working of democracy is the observance of constitutional morality. And he says that many people have not understood what is constitutional morality. They think that constitutional morality is what is contained in the Constitution. No, Dr. Babasaheb himself says that Constitution only contains the bare legal provision, a bare skeleton of the provisions of law, but the flesh of that skeleton is to be found in constitutional morality. And for this, he cites the example of George Washington. All of us know that to the American people, Washington was God. And if you read his life and history, he was made the first president of the United States after the Constitution was drafted. When he was made the president, after his tenure was over, he was again requested to continue as president. But Washington refused. And in this quote, he probably gives an idea of what is constitutional morality. Quoting Washington, Babasaheb Ambedkar says, what Washington has said. My dear people, you have forgotten the purpose for which we made this Constitution. This is George Washington addressing his people. We made this Constitution because we did not want a hereditary monarchy, and we did not want a hereditary ruler or a dictator. If after abandoning and serving away from the allegiance of the English king, you come to this country and stick to worship me year after year, term after term, what happens to your principles? Can you say that you have rightly rebelled against the authority of the English king when you are substituting me in this place? So this, he says, is constitutional morality. Constitutional morality is to live by the spirit of the Constitution. Constitutional morality is to live by the rule of law in its true impact. So Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar says that we have to live by the constitutional conventions. We have to live by constitutional beliefs, the preamble, the rights, and all the things that are arranged in our Constitution. This is skeleton. But when we implement that, probably during the recent times, when the Supreme Court of India quotes the Constitution and grants the status of equality, as Madam already quoted, there are the case of Sabrimala judgment, etc. We are speaking about constitutional morality. The fifth factor, the fifth hurdle, or the fifth challenge that Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar identifies to democracy is there must be no tyranny of majority over minority. When I say majority over minority, I'm not speaking about the minority in terms of religious, linguistic minorities. I'm speaking about minority members in the opposition. So therefore, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar says that in a parliament which is governed, where the governing is done by majority in the parliament, the minority also have a role to play. The majority must give concession to the minority to put forth its view. It could be a single independent MP or an MLA. It could group of few people belong to political party. But all these people need to be given a chance in parliamentary democracy to present their view, because they also represent the interests, the views, the beliefs of a certain section of the population who have brought them to the power, to the seat of the parliament. What happens is that these minorities, if you ignore minorities, what Dr. Ambedkar says is, if you ignore this minority voice in the parliament, these minorities will develop a contempt for parliamentary people and develop a revolutionary spirit, something unconstitutional. If you believe in parliamentary system, if you believe in democratic system, everyone must be given an opportunity. If you suppress them and then they become revolutionary, if they become revolutionary, it will be out of the constitutional box scheme of things. It is therefore necessary, according to Dr. Ambedkar, that when democracy is working, the majority on which it is based must not act in a tyrannical manner. So in the present day context, contemporary world, we can see many such laws being enacted either in the parliament or in the assembly, which is based upon the strength of the ruling party. When the ruling party proposes a law and amendments or suggestions made by the minority are incorporated, it is a true reflection of democracy. We continue with that spirit of democracy even today. That's the relevance for today's India. The sixth factor, or the sixth hurdle, or the sixth challenge that Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar identifies is that there must be moral order in the society for the success of parliamentary democracy. Beautiful, isn't it? Absence of morality anywhere, either in the family or in the society or any institution that we work, will ruin that family, will ruin that society, will ruin that institution. Democracy does require the functioning of the moral order in the society. Politics is different from morality. One can get trained in politics, but ethical things are something which one has to get trained in by practicing it. Ethics is something separate from politics. A free government in a democracy means that in many aspects of its social life, it allows people to function, it allows people to carry on their day-to-day activities without any interference, without any law is made. And Dr. Ambedkar says, even if a law is to be made by the parliament, in a democracy, to control the life of people, it must be seen that it is obeyed. That is, it must be seen that it must have the collective morality of the society. If the collective morality of the society does not obey the law, it will be a challenge to democracy. In terms of the epidemic, in terms of the pandemic that we have today, it is very relevant. Whether it is politicians, whether it is people, ordinary laymen, all have to follow the rules of the pandemic, the COVID appropriate behavior. Why we have come to this stage is we lost morality in that. Somewhere in the politics, we lost morality. People flocked around. People, individual, private people did not bother about morality. They went and breached the law. They spread pandemic to everyone. This is one small, minute example from today's contemporary world, how if you do not have morality in the society, democracy could break. I wish we overcome this pandemic very soon by following our ethical part in our role in our society, by following the moral orders of the society. So every law that is enacted by the government, the central government or the state government, in terms of the Epidemic Disease Control Act, we must obey it. Therein lies our moral commitment. In fact, Dr. Ambedkar quotes Harold Lasky. He says in one of his books that moral order is always taken for granted in democracy. Isn't it so? How true Lasky was. He says that moral order is always taken for granted in a democracy. Just because we have democracy, we ask for moving around freely, we ask for so many things, but without having any commitment towards morality because we take it for granted. If there is no moral order, Lasky says, democracy will go to pieces as it is going now, probably in our own country. Finally, friends, the seventh and the last, but not the least, factor or hurdle or challenge that Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar identifies is strong presence of public conscience. How relevant it is in the 21st century. It was relevant when democratic institutions across the globe were emerging in the context of the struggle of the black and the white in South Africa. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar quotes how there were white people who came in the support of the causes of the black people suffering. That shows the public conscience that what is unjust, what is unfair must not be tolerated. How Our own father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, fought for the people of South Africa, fought for the black people of the South Africa, is an example of public conscience. How Dr. Ambedkar's life itself is an example of public conscience. As truly remarked by speakers earlier, he did not only fight for his own community, he was fighting for the whole society as such. He was fighting for a society which was oppressed, it was suppressed. He was fighting for women, he was fighting for labor class. So this public conscience as exhibited by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar must be there in each one of us. What is public conscience for your consideration here? Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar says, public conscience means conscience which becomes agitated at every wrong, no matter who is the sufferer. And it means that everybody, whether he suffers that particular wrong or not, is prepared to join him in order to get him relieved. Isn't it? I'll read that once again for you, because this is the most important quality that we need today in the 21st century. And that is, public conscience means conscience which becomes agitated at every wrong, no matter who is the sufferer. And it means that everybody, whether he suffers that particular wrong or not, is prepared to join him in order to get him relieved. A public participation in, if a citizen is being unjustly prosecuted, if a citizen is being unjustly harassed by the executive, then I and you, as public coins keeper, we must support the cause of the person who is suffering. So if this is done at the individual level, collective level, societal level, then we can see the institution democracy functioning. And there are many such examples post-independent India. There are many cases of whether it is Nirbhaya. So many such cases where we have brought justice to the people. You remember how under-trial prisoners were kept in a jail in Bhagalpur, Bihar. A public-spirited letter addressed the issue of the under-trial prisoners. They were all released. So there are several such public interest litigation lawyers, people, NGOs who work for the causes of these underprivileged. That is the example for all of us as far as public conscience is concerned. So my dear friends, on this great occasion of commemoration of 130th birthday Jayanti of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, I'm really proud and privileged to say that thanks to the Constitution, thanks to the constitutional morality, that we in India are still conscious rather, of our duties towards fulfilling our part in making democracy successful. So what mantra, what 7 challenges that Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar identified will be relevant, was relevant, will be relevant, and till times to come, we will always have to speak in praise of the great man who was born in this part of the universe. We must thank him for giving such revolutionary ideas without bringing up any drop of blood. Thank you very much. Thank you for the organizers for giving me an opportunity. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, sir, for your enriched words. Is there any question, query? Participants, please put your questions in chat. Sir, before putting a question of participants, I would like to put a personal question.
Yes, madam, please.
As today we came to know constitutional morality in the very fabulous word, Sorry for interruption of voice, sir.
Yeah.
This is technology, and technology as it is advanced, similarly having the drawbacks also. So my question was, sir, okay, as constitutional morality is very, very important to upgrade the human life and human dignity. What contribution really the government and human beings should do in upgrading the constitutional morality more and more?
Thank you, Madam, for your question. Let me put it this way. All of us know that in parliamentary democracy, the majority party has the privilege of making laws. While the majority party has the privilege of proposing the laws, enacting the laws, it must keep in mind whether these laws which it proposes to enact, pass for the people, is for the good of the people, is for the welfare of the people. So when I speak about, when Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar speaks about constitutional morality, and we contextualize in the manner of the political party making a law, we must know what is the object of that law, whether the law enacted by the government, by the parliament, is for the welfare of the people. Because at the beginning of my lecture, quoting Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, I said, he says, democracy is what? Democracy is a form and method of government whereby revolutionary changes in the economic and social life of the people are brought about without bloodshed. If that is the objective of the legislation, then constitutional morality is achieved. And take the example of the recent laws that were enacted. There are difference of opinion. When the parliament enacted the 3 farm law bills, there are people arranged for and against the law. The vast number of people for the benefit of whom the law was enacted are still agitating. So herein lies the subtle understanding of what is the true constitutional morality there. Probably only time will tell, only societal values will tell that this is the constitutional morality which we look forward in terms of a particular law, legislation or ordinance. Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for wonderful answer. Participants?
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
Sir, you mentioned 7 challenges.
Yeah.
Before democracy. So I want to ask, like, how, we have number of law, we have a very good constitution, we have number of laws, but still, we are lacking implementation. Now, very beautifully, you highlighted 7 challenges or hurdles before democracy. So how could we, secure this strict, or if not strict, then, little implementation of all these challenges? I mean, how we can remove these barriers so that we can see democracy in its true spirit. We can have strict application or implementation of guarantees which are enshrined in the Constitution.
Thank you, madam. First of all, let me reiterate that the 7 challenges which I spoke about now is what Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has said in his speech, which is published. I only explained them merely, number 1. So I don't want to take the credit. Number 2, your question is, despite having such a beautiful constitution, which as the chairman of the drafting committee, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar drafted, still we find there's so many problems, so many challenges to democracy. How could we overcome this? There are 1 or 2 things. I cannot give a complete satisfactory answer to this. First of all, let us understand that one of the essence of success of democracy is that there must be equality in law and administration. So as Baba Sahib Ambedkar himself said that too much equality before the law cannot be achieved. So there are limitations. We cannot debate on this, that equality should be the same or it must be absolute equality. That is a debatable one because that is contextualized time to time, society to society. So all laws cannot have that objective of achieving absolute equality. That is one limitation to the success of the constitution. The other thing which we need to understand is and remember is that Baba Sahib himself said, Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar himself said that today we are while handing over the constitution to the Constituent Assembly, he said, today we have a beautiful constitution, but its success will depend upon how the future generations will implement it. So let us not blame the constitution for not fulfilling all the aspirations which are laid down in the preamble. If at all we have to blame the manner in which the manner in which certain laws have been implemented. So the failure is not in the constitutional system or the constitution itself. The failure is in the agents of the constitution upon whom that particular responsibility is given. If those people fail, only then the constitution fails. In fact, he said, while speaking about the constitutional morality, Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar himself said, many people seem to be very enthusiastic about the constitution. Well, in his own words, he says, well, I'm afraid I'm not. I'm quite prepared to join that body of people who want to abolish the constitution, at any rate to redraft it. But we forget is that we have a constitution which contains legal provisions, only a skeleton. The flesh of that skeleton is to be found in what we call constitutional morality. So the idea here is that people who implement the laws, people who make the laws, they must have the constitutional morality. Only then all the aspirations of the constitution can be fulfilled. Thank you very much.
So, sir, can we say, like, everything it is in the hands of we, the people of India, unless and until we won't come together? I mean, though we have enough number of laws, but the observance, the strict implementation, or say rather implementation, cannot be secured in its true spirit.
100%, madam. I fully agree, because the constitution was drafted by us, we the people. So when we say we the people, we the government servant, we the executive, we the legislative, we the judiciary, we the citizen, I the teacher, you the teacher, everyone upon whom us is the responsibility of fulfilling the mandate of the constitution. I agree with you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, sir. You have really satisfied both the questions very rightfully. So I am very much sure that, sir, your valuable sharing, it has certainly given all the participants food for thought. It was such a very informative and thoughtful session. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Now moving on, friends, as you know that this webinar is basically organized to commemorate the 138th birth anniversary of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was a great intellectual as well as a social reformer. So in his early stage of career, we know that he realized the plight of untouchables. He dedicated his whole life for socio-economic upliftment. The political philosophy of Ambedkar assists in renegotiating the crisis of Western political theory in particular and leading the fights of the people in general. Ambedkar has arisen as a major political philosopher with rise of Dalit movement in contemporary times. if we look at the existing studies on Ambedkar, we come to know that largely all these studies focus on his substantive religious, sociological, political, and constitutional concerns. And no study, nowhere even we can see the concept he deployed for the purpose of or mode of his argumentation. His body of work demonstrate that that he formulated number of concept to take stock of social reality that he confronted. And again, we can say that he reformulated existing concepts by critically engaging with the body of scholarship available to him. So with regard to the conception of political, he advanced a comprehensive and consistent design of what it means to live as a public and how best to do so in a setting, very different than, there was in the West, that is in Western countries I'm talking about. So in this session, we are going to learn and understand what was the impact of Western socio-political thought on Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's life, and accordingly, the constitutional philosophy which he had. So to guide us on this topic, we have with us very renowned, dynamic, and distinguished academician in the field of legal education, who is a backbone of our SS Maniar Law College, none other than my senior colleague friend, Dr. D.R. Shirsagar, sir. At the outset, I extend a very hearty and warm welcome to you, sir, on this occasion. Before we, my pleasure, sir. Before we move ahead, it's a great honor for me to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. D.R. Shirsagar, sir. That is his academic excellence. Dr. D.R. Shirsagar, sir, he is an alumnus of MP Law College, Aurangabad. He has completed master's degree in law from Department of Law, University of Pune. Sir has pursued his doctoral research program on the topic of contribution of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar to Indian legal system and analytical study from Kavitri Benabai Chaudhary, North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon, under the great guidance of our principal, Dr. B. Yuvakumar Reddy, sir, from SS Maniar Law College. Sir has overall teaching experience of more than 16 years at undergraduate level and 12 years at postgraduate level. Sir has completed UGC sanctioned minor research project on the topic of Dalit women and human rights with special reference to Jalgaon district. His areas of interest are criminal law, administrative law, and constitutional law. Sir has secured as many as 30 publications to his credit, and he has been invited as a resource in various seminars, conferences, and sir has delivered various talks on All India Radio as well. Very recently, sir has also delivered lecture on constitutional law in Maharashtra National Law University, Aurangabad. So without much ado, I invite Professor Dr. D.R. Shirsagar to guide us on the topic of impact of Western socio-political thought on Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and the development of constitutional philosophy. Over to you, Shirsagar, sir.
Thank you, madam. Madam, one request, Dr. Vijayta Singh, madam. Madam, can I share my screen, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just a moment. Preeti ma'am, please allow him to share his screen.
Yes, ma'am. 1 minute.
At the outset, I'm very much
yes,
thankful.
sir. You can share your screen now.
Yes, madam. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Vijayta ma'am, if we can make that announcement about the feedback link.
Yes, yes.
So those who are joining us on YouTube live, if you can please make that announcement.
Ji. Dear participant, feedback link is provided in the YouTube as well as in Zoom meeting both. Kindly fill your feedback. Those who are filling feedback, only they will be able to get certificate. Feedback link will be alive up to 3 p.m. After the program, the feedback link will be closed. So please take care of it, as well as be there till the vote of thanks and listen all the essential guidelines. And certificate will be provided within 10 days after completion of program. Please be with us. Thank you. Kshirsagar sir, over to you, please.
Hey, what? Is it visible, madam?
Yes, sir.
Huh? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, madam. At the outset, I am very much thankful for the organizer. It's a grand academic portal, Jitendra Chauhan Law College, and my own college, SS Maniar Law College. Dr. Ojha madam from the Grand Academic Portal, Dr. Priya Shah madam, Principal, Jitendra Chauhan Law College, my own principal and my research guide, Dr. Biwa Kumar Reddy sir, the webinar coordinators of this national webinar on the topic of relevance of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's thoughts in the 21st century, Dr. Sharmila Buge, Dr. Vijeta Singh, and the senior most and the most eminent personalities of this today's webinar, Dr. Kalse sir and Dr. V. Sudesh sir. That when I came to know that like this, the webinar is going to be planned, I was very much happy when I came to know that I'm going to get an opportunity that to say few words on such a great personality, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. And after going through with the title of this webinar, that this one is very much touching to me, that which is pertaining to the relevance of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's thoughts. Now the thoughts or the philosophy which has been developed in that particular era or before these 50s, or at the time, or under what circumstances that he has completed all of his education, what the different movement that he has commenced in the Indian society.
Kshirsagar sir,
yes,
sorry for interruption. Please full your screen. It is in short, so enhance your screen, please.
Now, madam.
Make it a full screen.
Full. Again, one more tab is required. So it will be clearly visible to all.
Slideshow also can be done, sir.
Now, madam.
Yes.
Huh? Now, and how that he has been appointed to be the chairman of the Constitution Drafting Committee, and how the Constitution has been drafted. The great man of the age is the one who can put into words the will of the age, tell his age what its will is, and accomplish it. What he does is the heart and essence of the age. He actualizes his age. So what I have tried to say here, the thing how that he has completed his education, when specifically that our Indian society, which is completely based on an inequality, here that I would like to quote what Professor Harold J. Laski is saying, an unequal society always lives in fear and with a sense of impending disaster in its heart. In such circumstance also, that he has completed his education, and on the basis of that particular education itself only, that he has what we can say that he has tried, considering that this one will be his social duty, that to do something for the community, for his brethren. So here in brief that I would like to mention points about Baba Saheb Ambedkar. As we know, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar was a very highly respected personality, not only in the community, but in the humanity at large. He gave to the mankind a philosophy to revolt against the traditional society, which is based on injustice and exploitation. And what type of another philosophy that he would like to reconstruct it for bringing the transformation or some kind of another reformation. He based his sublime on the value of the Trinity, that the liberty, equality, and fraternity. Now here that considering what type of another untouchability was there, and he is also coming from that particular the community itself only. He was not only a visionary but a pragmatic activist to the core. He was worthy to be called really a compassionate emancipator of the suffering multitude. With that intention only that I have chosen this particular the area wherein that I want to see what was the impact on him of this particular the West. He mostly that his time that he has spent on this particular the land for his educational purposes. Now, I am considering that Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, that who is popularly known as Baba Saheb, was born on April 14, 1891 at Mahu in the vicinity of Indore in Madhya Pradesh. That his father Ramji or Subedar Ramji was in the British Army, and Bhimrao was admitted in the camp school at Satara, wherein that he has completed his school classes, and later on that he got admitted in Elphinstone High School, Mumbai, wherein in the year 1907 that he has completed his matriculation. Later he sought admission in Elphinstone College in 1908. Now during his college education, that economically that he was, or that family was weak, they cannot afford the education. That is one thing. Secondly, he in those particular the days, or in that particular the era, it was very, very difficult for this particular the community that to take the education, and that to some higher education. But with the good offices of his school teachers, here that I would like to mention one Keluskar Guruji was there, and he was very much impressed about Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar and his intellectual, and Ambedkar comes in good offices of this Keluskar Guruji. And during that particular the time, the Maharaja of Baroda, Sayaji Rao Gaikwad, in that time that Maharaja has announced his intention that to help some deserving students, to provide some kind of another scholarship to such students for taking their education. And the Maharaja of Baroda, Sayaji Rao Gaikwad, granted a scholarship of rupees 25 per month to Bhimrao Ambedkar. Considering that he got the scholarship, and with that thing itself only, he has studied very hard, and passed or completed his BA in November 1912 from the same Elphinstone College, Mumbai, as already somewhere that I think, if I'm not wrong, Dr. Guge Madam has also highlighted that particular the thing. Now, what was the contract that he has made with the Maharaja of Baroda? Though the Maharaja is providing the scholarship for the purpose of an education, but after the completion of that particular the education, that he has to work for the Maharaja, and he has joined as a lieutenant in the Baroda state forces in 1913, but he was not there for a more time. There also in that particular offices that he was subjected to ridicule and hatred on the ground of his caste. Ambedkar decided to prosecute his higher studies in USA, but here again that due to his poor economic condition, it was very difficult for him. Now again that Maharaja of Baroda has came to the rescue, and the Maharaja was very great that to sanction the scholarship to Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar for pursuing his studies in the USA. I'm considering that this was indeed a very turning point in the life of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. This was indeed a life and open undreamed vistas of opportunity and experience in the country, which upheld the basic principles of equal opportunity for everybody. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, especially that this United States of America, especially that this is the land of Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, and Booker T. Washington, who had exerted themselves for the amelioration of the conditions of the Negro slaves. Now, he went to America in July 1913 and sought admission for MA in economics in the famous Columbia University in New York. He studied very hard there that the university has awarded him the doctorate degree, the MA degree in economics, and up to this 24 or up to this 1915 that he was there in the Columbia University. But later on that what the scholarship that which he has received from the Baroda Maharaj, that one was for the period of 3 years that from 1913 to 1916, and which has came to an end. But however, due to Bhimrao pursuing an appeal and the strong recommendation of the professor, one of the professor in that Columbia University, Professor Edwin R. Seligman, that who has also made a request for extending the period of that particular scholarship to the Maharaja of Baroda, and Maharaja Baroda was very much kind and sympathetically considered his case. In the meantime, he returned to Mumbai in the year 1917. That life in the America was a very wonderful and a moving experience for Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, because during his school days, he realized quickly, though painful, what the stigma of untouchability meant. The treatment meted out to him outside the school was even worse. Touch me not was the rule for him everywhere. Against the background of untouchability in India and his own bitter experiences in this regard, his exposure to Western values and way of life was revealing in his childhood. Therefore, in the latter years of his life, he revolted against such philosophy of Varna and caste system, which had disabled the people of Indian society. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's education in the Columbia University was therefore a turning point and an important landmark on the dark background of his experiences in India. That one writer, that Dhananjay Keer, that he has quoted that regarding the life of Ambedkar in USA, Dhananjay Keer is writing life in America, a foreign land, was a unique and moving experience in life that Ambedkar met with in New York. There, in company with other students and colleagues, he could move freely, he could read, he could write, he could walk, he could bath, and he could rest with a status of equality. Meals at regular hours, eating on a table with cloth and napkin. To him, life of Columbia University was a revelation. It was a new world. It enlarged his mental horizon. A new kind of existence began. His life gleamed with a new meaning. Now, as I have mentioned, he, against the background of untouchability in India and his own bitter experiences in this regard, his exposure to Western values and way of life was revealing in his childhood. That one of the two instances that I would like to quote here might be all of many of you have gone through with this particular the instance. When Ambedkar, along with his elder brother, took up a journey to see their father, who was employed at Goregaon. In the course of it, they hired a bullock cart. After going a little further, the driver, on learning their identity, threw them out on the road, denouncing them having polluted his wooden cart by their touch. Now we can imagine what type of the thing was there in those particular the days. Somehow they won over the cartmen by paying double the fare. However, Bhimrao's elder brother had to drive the cart. The following it on foot, on the way of their destination, they could not get anywhere water, even the water to drink for. Whenever they asked for it, they were pointed out to filthy water in the ponds or asked to go away. This was the rude and shattering. This was the first rude and shattering shock to the budding mind of Bhimrao. That day he knew that he belonged to family that was untouchable, degraded to drink and eat filthy things. Why I am quoting specifically these things before you? Because what he has experienced in the United States, wherein that the inequality was not there. He got the opportunity to mix up with the students, to sit with them, to learn with them, to have a study with them, to take a meal with them. Now, one another instance, while drinking water at the public tap, it was discovered that he was an untouchable Mahar boy. The result was that he was beaten mercilessly on that account. Social disabilities, ill treatment, and insults from his childhood were slowly developing the spirit of defiance in Dr. Ambedkar's mind. In his school, he was not allowed to go to the blackboard. The caste Hindu boys used to keep their tiffin boxes or their luggages behind that particular the blackboard. Ambedkar's touch to the blackboard was sure to pollute the tiffin boxes of those boys. This was the fear entertained by caste Hindu boys. In this way, Ambedkar was often humiliated and insulted. Yet another shock awaited the growing mind and understanding of Bhimrao. It was indeed a touching scene when Bhim came to know that his hair defiled the purity of the razor of the barber, who regarded even the buffalo. See, that the barber who regarded even the buffalo shaving as a better and holier affair than tonsuring a human being who was his co-religionist and his countryman. So Bhim's sisters used to cut the brother's hair. It is therefore that the life in America was a wonderful and a moving experience for Ambedkar. Here in India, the traditional caste structure of Hindu society must have made him pessimistic and depressed. Therefore, in the latter years of his life, he revolted against such a philosophy of Varna that Ambedkar's education in the Columbia University was therefore a turning point and an important landmark on the dark background of his experiences in India. In that Columbia University, simply that he has not obtained or he has not got the degrees, but those particular education or that particular the social life has also given him the thoughts, the wisdom, made him aware of his social duties towards his community. Later on in 1931, that he wrote about his future career and plans. That nobody would have believed in the period of he himself is stating. Ambedkar, he himself is narrating. Nobody would have believed in the period of my student career that an untouchable person like me would represent the depressed classes in the round table conferences in London and will participate prominently in framing Free India's constitution. Further, he is stating, leave aside others, but personally myself also could not have dreamt of it. Except my personal well-being, that I had no specific aim before me when I had started my journey for America for the purpose of an education. I had not even the slightest glimpse of the matter that I will become one with the grievances and sorrow of my people and lead them to the proper destination within so short span of time. Now here in America, Professor R.A. Seligman was his teacher for the subject of public finance. This teacher left a lasting impression on the mind of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Professor Seligman was not only the teacher, but himself an academician. Now, again, that I would like to quote the reference, what has been mentioned by Dhananjay Keer, that in the book, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Life and Vision, Ambedkar took to Seligman as a duck takes to water and ran after the professor from class to class with his special permission to attend his classes. This professor was fond of do-gearing the pages of the book in his hand while teaching and taught well and guided his students with affection and thus produced a lasting effect upon Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. When asked by Ambedkar as to the method of research, he advised him to go and earnestly, so might evolve his own method. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar was sincerely guided by his teachers in America, the country in which the liberalism has made itself felt dominantly, not only in the field of education, but in almost all spheres of life. That Ambedkar, who was studying in America in the second decade of the 20th century, had studied the American history and the Civil War of 1860 between South and North America. That in America, Abraham Lincoln has issued a proclamation to the effect of the emancipation of the Negroes in 1862. Prior to this proclamation, the American Declaration of Independence, drafted by Thomas Jefferson, had already set a bright tradition of stressing on man's goodness, nationality, and equality. In 18th and the 19th century, all the social and political movements in America desired to introduce reforms in every walk of life. The American leaders earnestly tried to pave the way for the realization of the democracy in its true spirit. Now, during the Civil War of 1860, the North American leaders had won over the southern states, where the Negroes were treated as an inferior race. The North American leaders had a strong faith and desire to improve the conditions of Negroes. Dr. Ambedkar had not came across with such efforts. Now see, in that 18th century itself only, such type of another movement has taken place, or it was there. wherein that they want to achieve, or they want to bring the social equality. Now, after going through with this particular, the historical background of that particular the land, and the struggle for the emancipation of these particular the Negroes or the slaves, because the problems of those particular the community is not that much different what the untouchables were facing on this Indian land. That at the same time that I would like to divert myself. There are certain minority communities in the world. They were deprived of all their basic human rights. Now, such type of another word was not there, if I'm not wrong, regarding these human rights. They were known as the Burakumini in Japan, Jews and Gypsies in France, Roma in Austria, and the Indians, West Indians in UK, blacks in USA, Jews in Germany, and untouchables in India. Now, all these particular the minority communities are subjected to social ostracism, exploitation, the harassment. Now, once that the Ambedkar, he has presented the paper on the problem of the untouchables of India to the Pacific Relations Conference. The World on the Problems, what was the title? The World on the Problems and Plights of the Untouchables in India. He said it was the best opportunity to draw the attention of the world to this problem, in comparison to which the problems of the slaves, the Negroes, and the Jews is nothing. He himself felt that what the problems that these different minority communities in the different world, and specifically that these particular the Negroes, now the problems of the untouchables on the Indian territory is very, very more than the problems of such communities like these particular the things that he has highlighted on the international platform. Dr. Ambedkar, again that in continuation with that one, had not came across such efforts of improving the conditions of untouchables in India by any leader. On the contrary, that we can say he has reminded himself of one incident of his primary school days. What was that incident? One Orthodox Brahmin teacher who always hated Bhimrao for his entry in the school and taking education as a Brahmin boy, discouraged him and told him that the untouchables should not take education. Ambedkar retaliated him by saying that he should mind his own business and should not take interest in his education. Therefore, it was a matter of great fortune for Ambedkar that he met with the teachers like Seligman, Professor Seligman, who never frowned at him with disgust on the ground of his so-called untouchability. Then, after a successful career at Columbia University, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar went to the London in 1920 and resumed his study in London School of Economics and Political Science. He studied there for MSc Economics and got degree on his thesis, Provincial Decentralization of Imperial Finance in British India. Now, further that in the meantime that he joined Gray's Inn and completed his barrister at law also, and further that he came back to India in 1923. Now, after this 1923 period, that from 1927 onwards, that we can say what the movement that he has commenced on this Indian territory. For example, that this Mahar Satyagraha, which has been initiated during this 1927 onwards, that particular Satyagraha, that one I am considering that is nothing but an impact. What type of the atmosphere, the social type of the atmosphere or the equalities that he has experienced in US, Now he want to bring those particular things on this Indian territory, and specifically that to the backward communities, to the untouchables, that in common or in general. Now, one of the very renowned author, the American author, that Eleanor Zeliot, that he is stating that in his one of the book or one of the article, that Ambedkar seems the most Western, even the most American of Indian leaders. He wore Western clothing almost all his life, and most current pictures and statues show him in a blue suit with a white shirt and a red tie. He believed passionately in democracy and in the party system and in the rule of law. He was practical and pragmatic, committed to secularism and rationalism. Now, when that he might be that she is stating he believed passionately in democracy and in the party system and in the rule of law. Now, regarding this particular the democratic aspect also, Ambedkar is having his own philosophy pertaining to the question of this particular the democracy. He has mentioned the conditions also, the conditions which are very much necessary for the working of this particular the democracy. He had a great faith in education as the way to progress and creativity. But what is Zeliot that she is stating, that as I look at these things, I find that even though he had many things in common with a Western liberal, Dr. Ambedkar was completely and thoroughly an Indian, and these are the reasons. She is giving the justification or the reasonings also for that one. Ambedkar, even though that he was a secular and rational, even though he was committed to equality, he understands the power of caste and community. Jawaharlal Nehru felt that caste would disappear in socialism. Ambedkar is also having his own philosophy, his own views about the socialism. Now, for the purpose of this particular the socialism, here that I would like to take the opportunity to mention, Ambedkar he himself has developed, among others, the theory of the state socialism, which he has stated in his book States and the Minorities, which was actually prepared to submit to the Constituent Assembly in March 1947 for the purpose of its consideration on behalf of the All India Scheduled Caste Federation. What he is saying about the socialism envisages to put obligation on the state to plan the economic life of the people on lines which would lead to the highest point of productivity without closing every avenue of private enterprise, and also provide for the equitable distribution of wealth. Now, in order to avoid concentration of means of production and to avoid exploitation of one class by another, there should be equitable distribution on the national wealth. Now, here that on the point of this socialism, so what I have mentioned here, Nehru felt that caste would disappear in socialism. Mahatma Gandhi wants to say that untouchable could be absorbed in Shudra class. But Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar knew the strength of the caste and argued for its abolition in specific ways. He never identified himself as a caste leader. He only once called a conference of Mahars, but that one time is important. It was on the occasion of the announcement of a change of religion in 1935. He felt each caste determined its religious future as a caste. Now, he amazed Ambedkar's wisdom that he knew and understood the Indian system, and he worked within it to change such a system. Another field which this author feels that Ambedkar was profoundly Indian is that of religion. He, in 1930, when he had announced that he would not die a Hindu. Now, here what I have mentioned is that this particular the Mahar Satyagraha has started from 1927, and in the process of that particular the Mahar Satyagraha itself only during 1930, that he in the assembly or in the meeting that he has stated that though I born in this particular the Hindu community, but I would not die a Hindu. And Ambedkar had many avenues open to him. And later on, I don't want to go in that much history, and he has accepted that particular the Buddhism. Now here that I would like to mention who were the mentors or with their teaching, with their experiences, what was the impact? That here that I would like to take some references in which that I'm referring that this John Dewey, 1859 to 1952. John Dewey was a great scholar and a renowned philosopher of pragmatic and scientific approach. From 1885 to 1894, he taught philosophy at the universities of Michigan and Minnesota. Later that this particular John Dewey joined Chicago University. He joined Columbia University in 1904 as a professor of philosophy till his retirement. Later, he was busy in his study and in numerous practical enterprises. That he felt that man should not conserve the whole of his social heritage, but select what is useful and transmit to future generation only that much and no more. Now, Dr. Ambedkar also had no faith in the past. So, what was the philosophy of this John Dewey? That the man should not conserve the whole of his social heritage, but select what is useful and transmit to the future generation only that much. Ambedkar also had no faith in the past. He thought that the Hindus always cherished the old scientific, cultural, old unscientific cultural heritage. He thought for the moral regeneration of the society, the intellectual regeneration of the Hindu leaders was necessary, and for that they needed new moral and scientific knowledge. So according to Dewey, man's happiness and his well-being should be a central theme of thinking for a philosopher. John Dewey had a faith in the theory of instrumentalism. He thought that the object of philosophy is not merely to speculate, but to solve problems of the needy people, such as solving bad sanitation, poor working conditions, disparity in distribution of income, and distribution of material benefits produced by the technological revolution. Dewey was a realist thinker. He was more concerned with the examination of how government actually works. People actually want, what actually the people want, the satisfaction of their wants and to avoid pain rather than ideas, ideals, and speculations. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar was also greatly concerned with a pragmatic approach to any problem. He has rightly thought that the tree is known by the fruits it bears. In his view, every society is more or less pluralistic in nature. As such, it contains several institutions and associations for its development. So, Ambedkar also believed that in a democratic society, experimental method can be employed so there cannot be fixities to such society is and ought to be dynamic, so the constitution and the law of the land. So such type of the impact of this Devi was there on Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Further, that John Stuart Mill, 1806 to 1873, a famous British political thinker, J.S. Mill is known as a protagonist of human liberty. He wrote on liberty among others. He thought that every person must have liberty to think, liberty to express, and liberty to act accordingly. No state or religion should restrain the liberty of an individual. Individual should have full and unrestrained liberty to develop his own personality. Now, this liberty that we can see in our Indian Constitution also. However, liberty of one should not be, one should be an obstacle in way of others. So far as self-regarding actions are concerned, he has absolute freedom, whereas in respect of other regarding actions, he is amenable to the society. He states that the only part of the conduct of anyone for which he is amenable to society is that which concerns others. In the part which merely concerns himself is independence of right, absolute over himself, over his own body and mind, the individual is sovereign. He said, I regard utility is the ultimate appeal on all ethical questions, but it must be utility in the largest sense, grounded on the permanent interest of a man as a progressive being. Now, with the influence of this J.S. Mill's philosophy, Ambedkar also thinks liberty as an important and fundamental right for every person. Speaking in the Constituent Assembly on 25th November 1949, he criticized on hero worship. There he referred to J.S. Mill for his support that we must observe the caution which John Stuart Mill has given to all who are interested in the maintenance of democracy, namely not to lay their liberties at the feet of even a great man, or to trust him with powers which enable him to subvert their institutions. Don't give your liberty. That this is the part and parcel, the fundamental right, the very basic right, the very natural right. Now, that what we can say that in the jurisprudence also that we are saying, all the rights can be transferred, but these particular the natural rights, the fundamental rights, or these particular the liberty cannot be transferred. So don't lay that their liberties at the feet even a great man, or to trust him with powers. Further, that Mill was he became the editor in the London Review. In 1856, Mill became the chief of the Office of Indian Correspondence in the Office of East India Company. He retired from his company service in 1858. Further here that I would like to quote Thomas Jefferson, 1743 to 1826. Jefferson had actually participated in the War of Independence, fought against the British colonialism. He participated in the Second Conference of the Americans held at Philadelphia in 1776. He drafted the Declaration of Independence made at that time. He was elected as a president of USA in the year 1800 and again in the year 1804. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar was very greatly influenced by the provisions of the fundamental rights included in the famous Declaration of Independence. He referred to the Declaration of Independence in his speech with great respect in the Pacific Relations Conference. before some minute that I have gone through with that particular the Pacific Relations Conference, which held in Quebec, Canada in December 1942. It was in the declaration that people got the natural right to revolt against the government which rules irresponsibly. Okay. What he has stated, it was in the declaration that people got the natural right to revolt against that government which rules irresponsibly. Dr. Ambedkar was greatly influenced by the Declaration of American Independence, drafted by Jefferson during the Revolution period. It denounces slavery and slave trade. It was quite natural on the part of Dr. Ambedkar to be attracted towards this declaration. Jefferson, a constitutional philosopher and a practical thinker, said that the Constitution ought to be amendable according to the exigencies of time. Dr. Ambedkar referred to Jefferson's opinion in his speech delivered in the Constituent Assembly on 25th November 1949, wherein that he said, "We may consider each generation as a distinct nation with a right by the will of majority to bind themselves, but none to bind the succeeding generation more than the inhabitants of another country." This amply reflects as to how much he was influenced by the constitutional thoughts of Jefferson. He said the assembly has refrained from putting a seal of finality and infallibility upon this constitution by denying the people the right to amend the constitution. In the present constitution that we can see Article 368, amendment to the constitution. Booker T. Washington, 1859 to 1915, he was born in the slavery as a black. He established in 1881 for the blacks one school. He decided to emancipate the Negroes from their slavery through the way of imparting education. Booker T. Washington was a great reformer and educator of the Negro race in America and was the founder president of the Tuskegee Institute, which disseminated among the Negroes the doctrine of education of the head, heart, and hand, and thus broke the shackles of bondage which had crushed the Negroes for ages, physically, mentally, and spiritually. He attached more importance to the education and economic development of the Negroes. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar also adopted the way of education for his untouchable brethren. He tried to raise their level of living and thinking standard. He opened People's Education Society. Whatever in the life, he has established many parties, many federations, and the educational institution. Now, one People's Education Society Ambedkar has established in 1945. Now, the object of that particular education society, that to establish the schools, the colleges, the hostels, the libraries, the sports grounds, and the research centers, not only in the state of Maharashtra, but in the other states of the country also. So what Washington has given the importance to that particular the education. Now the same thing, or he was also of the same opinion that the education is only the weapon that which can bring the progress of this particular the community at the same time that in general, because Ambedkar that he was of the opinion that this particular community or the backward communities are not only the illiterate class or the class, those who are not getting or those who are not entitled the education, but at the same time, whatever the higher caste people are there, they were also very much illiterate. That the superstitions and the different things that he has stated. Ambedkar was an independent and rational thinker. However, he was greatly influenced by his preceptors, his teachers, and the Western liberal thinkers. For the purpose of measuring influences of the great man, it is necessary to take into account his statements made from time to time, life mission, and subsequently that we can draw some kind of the inferences. Madam, I am having the time now. Hello?
Yes, sir, you can continue.
Yes, sir, you have more time. You can continue as per your convenience.
Now, speaking about the Constitution of India, or what was his philosophy, that it is the fact that Ambedkar was a value-based political leader as well as a rational political philosopher. He visualized an integrated society based on the liberty, equality, and fraternity. There was a great challenge before him as to how the objective of an ideal society could be achieved in the given situation, which was diametrically opposed to his vision. His whole life was but a saga of struggle for the achievement of that objective. He got an opportunity to get honorably elected as a chairman of the Constitution Drafting Committee, and thereby the opportunity to incorporate and invigorate the philosophy of the new social order as he contemplated. That Constitution to him is a fundamental document which defines what the power of the three organs of the state, the rights corresponding duties of citizens, and the philosophy of the Constitution. It is the supreme law of the land. As such, no law, custom, or decision would go against it. Though the Parliament is the supreme authority to make, unmake, or amend the Constitution, it cannot be changed the basic structure of the Constitution. Philosophy of the Constitution is enshrined in the preamble of the Constitution itself. It declares, "We the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation." It is, however, based on the objective resolution which was moved by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on 13th December 1946 and passed by the Constituent Assembly. The objective resolution, however, reveals the philosophy of the Constitution, nature of the polity, and the values cherished during the India's freedom struggle. The preamble declares, "We the people of India," as a source of its sovereign power, and declares its resolve to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic. Though that the word independent was omitted, as independence is usually implied in the word sovereign, thus India is not merely a democratic but a republic, as its head is elected by the people themselves. The drafting committee, however, added a new clause about fraternity, which does not occur in the objective resolution, which was moved by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar himself explained the reason explicitly. What he wants to say, he said, "The committee felt the need for fraternal concord and goodwill in India was never greater than now, and that this particular aim of the new constitution should be emphasized by special mention in the preamble." Now, the words socialist and secular were added later on by the Constitution 42nd Amendment, this 1976. I think that already that it has been narrated regarding the constitutional philosophy. So I think that I should not repeat the same thing. I should not touch. Now, this one is not really the concluding remarks in that sense, but simply for closing of my words on the occasion of this today's webinar. That Ambedkar was a great scholar and a great political and legal philosopher. He visualized a state based on the principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity. He struggled throughout his life for the establishment of his ideal state, a great nationalist. He had always observed human values of love and compassion. And he has embraced the Buddhism based on reason, compassion, liberty, equality, and fraternity. And already it has been stated regarding the form of the administration and the democracy. And here that as a student or as a teacher, I felt it's necessary that to have an overlook over the life of Dr. Ambedkar and some influence or the impact on him of the West to get his philosophy and its importance in the formation of the new social order in the society. Once again, that I'm very much thankful for the grand academic portal that Dr. Ojha Madam, Principal of Jitendra Chauhan Law College, Dr. Priya Shah, my own principal, Dr. B.U. Kumar Reddy sir, who is also my guide. I am thankful to the other guest speakers also, Dr. Anant Kalse sir, Dr. V. Sudesh sir, the webinar coordinators, Dr. Sharmila Guge madam, Dr. Vijeta Singh, Dr. Rekha Pahuja, and the students and those who are listening this particular the webinar. Over to you, madam.
Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, it was such an informative session that we had today with you. You started with, early education, early life and education of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, and went on explaining the hardship and sufferings made by him and rule of Touch Me Not, and his journey to Columbia University, America, and in other countries. You also very nicely quoted the experiences shared by Dhananjay Keer in his book, Life in America in Foreign Land. And you shared 2-3 instances, frightful rather instances, I would say, on treatment which was meted out by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and his family members. You also made mention of deprivation of, not only there was a, deprivation of human rights of minorities or other communities to our country, but, human rights of minorities across the world in different countries. You also discussed that, and you narrated Mahar Satyagraha Andolan of 1927, and also, how the various philosophers, right from John Dewey and his theory of instrumentalism, and J.S. Mill, Thomas Jefferson, Booker T. Washington, how their philosophies actually brought about the change in the life of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, and accordingly, his thought of having our constitution. You also focused on fundamental ideals of constitution, by mentioning the preamble of the Constitution of India, and concluded with his thought of having the principle of equality, liberty, fraternity. So thank you once again from the bottom of my heart for sharing such a wonderful knowledge. Here I request all the participant friends, if you have any query, then you can write down in your chat box window, either on Zoom or on YouTube. Okay, we will try to answer your questions. Yes, anybody, if you have any query, you can ask, you can write in your chat box on YouTube also.
We have a lot of appreciations and amazing comments for Dr. Kshirsagar.
Yes, ma'am, I wanted
you
to
have a big
contribute
fan
same.
club. You have a big fan club, sir.
Yes. And sir has started from birth till his last journey, and he has contributed a lot, which we were actually expecting to know about Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Really, sir, fabulous contribution.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Vijita ma'am, we can go ahead with
yes.
vote of thanks now, please.
Yes, Pauja madam.
Sir, just out of curiosity, I'm asking you one question relating to theory of instrumentalism. If you can put little light on John Dewey's theory of instrumentalism.
Actually, that regarding this disease, that regarding this instrumentalism, that I have not gone in depth pertaining to that particular theory, but after going through the different these things, the reading material, if I'm not wrong, what type of the government, what type of the society, and how that particular the society is going to bring the reformation or some kind of the change what was there in the United States of America, and during the Civil War of this 1860, and what the different political leaders has came forward, and wherein that they wants to see nobody should suffer on the cause of the equality, maybe pertaining to the education or in the different spheres of the life. There may be some equal distribution of the wealth or whatever the assets, what we can see some of the provisions in our Indian Constitution also, some fundamental rights or the directive principles of the state policy.
Thank
In that sense, I have.
Yes, I got it, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Over to you, Vijeta, madam.
Thank you very much, Pauja madam. Friends, now it's time to express my sincere thanks and regards to all the dignitaries, participants, and the different resource speakers. So without wasting much of time, I'm moving ahead. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I am here, Vijeta Singh, to express my sincere thanks and regards to today's webinar speaker and all participants and all the authorities who were with me and entire journey. It is my proud privilege to express my thoughts and experiences about this webinar from the words as my gratitudes, as my expression in this kind. First of all, I would like to express my profound gratitude towards today's guest speakers, Dr. Anant N. Kalse sir, former Principal Secretary Maharashtra Legislature, for his valuable sharing and enlightening us with his knowledge about the topic. He has very broadly and with his easiest way possible made us understand the highly remarkable work of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar in framing the Indian Constitution. Thank you very much, sir. I express my gratitude and thanks on behalf of SS Maniar Law College, Jiten Chauhan Law College, and being a GAP member also. Thank you, sir. I would also like to express my heartfelt thanks to Professor Dr. V. Sudesh, sir, Chairman and Principal of University Law College, Bangalore. He has very elaborately put forth Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's thought concerning the modern world challenge to parliamentary democracy. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable knowledge and enlightening us with your jurisprudential experience. Thank you, Sudesh, sir. Thank you very much. Moving ahead, how can I remain to express my views regarding the third speaker who was my teacher, now my colleague, as well as my mentor, senior also. So moving ahead, I express my sincere thanks to senior faculty member, our colleague, Professor Dr. D.R. Kshirsagar, sir. He has provided us a very excellent coverage regarding the impact of Western socio-political thought on Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and step-by-step development of constitutional philosophy by expressing the different views of different jurists from different countries, as well as the struggle of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's life and different moments. Really, it was very insightful, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Friends, today's webinar was full of knowledge and it was of great inspiration. It gave a deep insights into the topic and also revealed some interesting facts. I am pretty sure the precious knowledge shared by Dr. Anant Kalse sir, Professor Dr. Sudesh sir, Professor Dr. D.R. Kshirsagar sir, it will give us, definitely it will help us in our studies and in future. Once again, I would like to express my profound gratitude towards these expertise people. Thank you very much, dignitaries. Thank you for your valuable time, knowledge and sharing. As well as you, all three speakers were very humble, down to earth and very cooperative. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to express thanks to the webinar patrons of this webinar. Professor Dr. Priya Shah, Principal, SVKM's Jitendra Chauhan College of Law, Mumbai.
Thank you, madam. Thank you
Professor
so much.
Dr. Gurudat Jappi, sir, Chairperson of our GAP, and my very own principal, respected Dr. Yuva Kumar Reddy, sir, Principal of SS Maniar Law College, for helping us to organize this webinar in a very short span of time, as well as in the very tip of pen. They have consented and helped what ought not, whatever we required, they have provided us. So thank you very much, all the three respected patrons of this webinar, respected Shah Madam, Jappi sir, and my own principal sir, Dr. Reddy sir. I want to express my special thanks to my Empower ladies, my fellow colleagues and coordinators of this program, Dr. Sharmila Guge ma'am, Dr. Preeti Oja ma'am, COE of GAP, and Professor Dr. Rekha Pauja madam, as well as all the members who are behind the curtain and in front of the curtain. I really thanks to one and all from my bottom of heart. Without your cooperation and coordination, it was impossible to make this event very successful. And last but not least, a great thanks to all the participants and audience who are with us till the end of moments, and without them, this event could not be become highly successful. So I express my gratitude and thanks to everyone who has supported, cooperated.
We need to introduce Dr. Sangeeta Johri, ma'am.
Yes. And now I am going to introduce, I would like to call Dr. Sangeeta Johri, ma'am, as a Vice President of GAP, to deliver a vote of thanks on behalf of GAP. Sangeeta, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Vijeta ma'am. and it's good afternoon to all. I think Vijayta ma'am has covered the entire horizon of vote of thanks, but still I really feel privileged to be a part of this platform, and I feel really happy to extend the gratitude to all the eminent speakers on the board. Gratitude is a powerful catalyst for happiness. And right now, I think yesterday, Preeti ma'am itself has shared a very nice video in which it was mentioned that in this Corona period, we should really feel gratitude to all the things we are having around us. So I think this Sunday afternoon so far, starting from the morning till the afternoon, we are too much indulged in this philosophy of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. And this is really a very nice initiative taken by Grand Academy Portal, Gyan Adhyan Parampara, and also by the college, you can say two colleges are there, SVKM's Jitendra Chauhan College of Law, Mumbai, and SS Maniar Law College, Jalgaon. It is indeed a dire need in the present scenario to talk about the ideologies of our own legends, you must say, because right now we are facing such a you can say disastrous situation in which all these ideologies really help us to move ahead, to think ahead, and to go for something new with which we can really transform our society. So I'm really grateful to all of you. I'm really happy to be a part of this webinar. Thank you, Preeti ma'am, for giving this opportunity to extend the heartfelt thanks to all the eminent speakers who has really given a deep insight on the various, you can say, phases of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. And I also found it very interesting to know the deep insights, especially the last sessions which sir has delivered. He really started from the beginning, and I was really wondering to see his research and his component, his content. And students must have got the deep insight. Yesterday itself, we also had one very wonderful session on this Baba Saheb Ambedkar ideologies. So this present era is really fit for to having such a kind of national webinar titled Relevance of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Thoughts in the Present Situation. So I really extend thanks to all the patrons, all the organizers, and especially the Sharmila ma'am, the way she started, it was really wonderful. And the way she has given a new dimension to that Saraswati Puja, it was really a very good, nice surprise, ma'am. Sharmila ma'am, thank you for that. And Vijayta ma'am and Rekha ma'am for very nice moderation and for very nice briefing you have given in between. I think the academician, as what the philosophy of Grand Academy Portal, we together learn from each other. And every time when I attend the webinar on this platform, I really take something new from that. So thanks to Jappi sir for making me a GAP family member, and thanks to Preeti ma'am as well. So I would like to give a pause on my thanks speech by giving few lines by Baba Saheb Ambedkar only, and that too in Hindi, because I live in Madhya Pradesh, so Hindi थोड़ी सी हमारे ज़्यादा दिल के करीब है. एक सफल क्रांति के लिए सिर्फ असंतोष का होना पर्याप्त नहीं है. जिसकी आवश्यकता है वो है न्याय एवं राजनीतिक और सामाजिक अधिकारों में गहरी आस्था. What I personally believe is that if we believe in ourselves, if we believe in system we develop, I think we all can bring the sustainable change, the revolutionary change, which definitely brings the overall socio-economic support and overall socio-economic development of our country. Presently, as our Honorable Prime Minister Modi is also emphasizing on the 3 I's, I would like to wrap up my session by emphasizing on those 3 I's. If we really work on these 3 I's, that is intent, inclusion, and innovation, I really repeat these things on various platforms, we can really bring out the necessary change in our society. And as ma'am has said, this coming up generation will definitely be benefited by this change. So thanks to all of you. Have a nice day.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, conclude the session.
So with the permission of chair and all the organizers, I am here declaring the session is over. Thank you one and all for your kind cooperation. Preeti ma'am, shall I?
Thank you for all the support. Just last announcement to please fill up the feedback form. We are keeping it open till what time, Sharmila ma'am?
3 p.m.
3 o'clock. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
so maybe
yeah.
40 minutes more.
Yes, yes.
Please this is just a gentle reminder to please fill up the feedback form. Sangeeta ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Rekha ma'am. Principal Priya Shah ma'am, Principal Reddy
Thank
sir,
you, ma'am.
Dr. Shir Sagar. Thank you so much.
Have a nice Sunday.
Thank you, everyone.